Oof. Yeah.
All right, man. So we are live. Michael, thank you for coming on and doing this special 10K podcast. Although we are now since I invited you, we actually hit 11,000. So the name 10K isn't that appropriate anymore. But nevertheless, I want to have you on for several reasons. First of all, I know you're a solid guy who doesn't bullshit and really understands men's health. I think also you have a really good idea of how men's health and just sexuality in general is directly related to your ability to meet, interact, and hang on to girls. So thank you for coming on, man. Do you want to just give a quick intro of your whole background so people get an idea of who you are?
Yeah, man. Well, first and foremost, thank you for the invite to, share the love and just overall health. As you know, this is what I love. Very transparent about it. My name is Michael Bertonatti. My real name is Miguel. I go by Michael, let's just say for discrimination reasons. And so I started this 5 years ago. I started the company Medical Health Institute in the back, and I was in the business for about 10 years. And I started because at 22 years of age, let's just say I began a journey where I had ED, and that affected my psyche so much and my self-esteem that it led me onto this journey to basically fall in love with, health. And now I'm 34 years old, feeling like a rock star. So, basically with the experience of, times that you get let down from having sexual encounters, I realized I really had a freaking issue. And that's kind of what led me into nutrition. I was like, oh, maybe it's nutrition. Then I kind of studied a little bit of chiropractic, therapy. Then I got into supplements, and then somehow I had a friend that introduced me to the business, and I got offered to work for a hormone replacement therapy clinic. The moment I heard your phone, oh yeah, they're putting in Miami right now riot alerts that you got to be home by 8 p.m. So anyways,
make the date I have at 10 o'clock a little bit more tricky, but I'm sure I'll persevere. Okay, so what's it called? So, and right now you run, I remember I stumbled upon you. You had like 200 5-stars reviews on your clinic. So like,
yeah.
Now you've helped a lot of people, right? Like you've been doing this for yourself for 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. This to round it all up, what I meant to say, man, this is very personal to me. I mean, as I've worked with anybody, I'm very transparent with what I do because it's personal. The more I help others, the more I'm helping myself. The more I figure out other people's problems, the more I can figure out my problems, because we're so alike in many ways. So, yeah.
So what turned out to be the underlying issue or issues with the erectile dysfunction that you had?
So it's interesting, man, because, my trademark for the business is make your sex life great again. That's my trademark. So tell me two things men don't do that are not hardwired for sex or happiness. Or males are tied by nature to sex and happiness. If one is missing or you're lacking down there, it's going to affect your self-esteem. And I've seen it over and over and over. Relationships break up because that part of your life is not straight. It's not rock solid. It's not something you're 100%. Even being 99, it's a problem when that's not 100, if you get what I mean. So very important that, you stay connected to that. And what was the question again? I'm sorry.
What turned out, after you started putting all the pieces together, what turned out to be, the thing or things that kind of fixed the problem for you?
So for me, it was a physiological cardiovascular problem. Typically guys with high blood pressure or that tend to be type A and go can damage the endothelial lining of where your blood vessels are, which is what helps you dilate and constrict blood vessels. Therefore, as you age, stress, EMRs coming from phone, there's so many things, invaders attacking us, that it affects the way you can pump blood. So one of the things I first did is fix it through something called shockwave therapy, specifically Gainswave, which is shockwave therapy. What it does, it creates microtrauma to the penis, and it induces endothelial growth factors, fibroblast growth factors, and transformative growth factors, which basically regenerate all the nerve endings and blood vessels to the penis. So see it as the master oil change for a male. So if you have a Porsche, turbo, would you would you do an oil change every 5,000 miles or every 35,000 miles?
Right.
5,000 miles, right? So if you're whatever age you are, if you're 40 years old, it's like you're not doing an oil change in your system for over 40,000 miles. So if you treat your body like a Ferrari or a Porsche, you want to do it every 5, meaning every 5 to 10 years, because it's really healthy for the penile tissue. So anyways, shockwave therapy is basically the master oil change to the penis. It regenerates all the blood vessels, nerve endings. The clinical data is behind it. Again, I'm a certified provider of GainsWave, which is one of the things that I focused on because that was more fixing the physiological issues. Another thing that we're big on is baby doses or microdoses of daily Cialis, anywhere from 2.5 to 5 milligrams, because as we age, the endothelial lining is the inner lining of the blood vessels. So that's what helps you constrict and dilate as you're, aroused or whatever it is. It's what helps you constrict and dilate blood vessels. So as we age, not only does your testosterone go down, but your ability to dilate on demand goes away.
Michael, can you touch on, I think a lot of guys are unfamiliar with the difference between microdosing Cialis and taking Cialis. Can you kind of sum up the difference there?
Very good. So microdose daily Cialis is very beneficial. It's not just for recreational sexual activities, more rather for cardiovascular health. It helps reduce blood pressure, and that's one of the main reasons that I've taken it for working out. It reduces any chances of high risk. There's a protein that your heart produces, C-reactive protein, that the higher it is, the more prone you are to a heart attack. It actually reduces that. It's really healthy for the prostate. It's really healthy for the circulatory system of this. See it like a massage on your blood vessels constantly. So you're microdosing 2.5 to 5 milligrams, all the way even to 10, some doctors will say. It can be microdosed depending on the person's endothelial function. So taking it daily, a lot of our doctors kind of trade off a little joke that, they should spike our water supply with Cialis, or tadalafil is the compound name, and metformin, because of the actual benefits there are behind it. So, it's not a recreational dose would be like anywhere from 25 to 50 milligrams. And that's what we wanted to get rid of. I love that question that you asked. What's the microdose? Why would I choose always microdose over a bigger dose? Because a bigger dose, usually you're using it, let's face it, is recreational. You're timing it. You're timing your sexual activity. So you're having one big explosion, which is great, rather than fixing the issue so you never have to time anything. It's there on demand spontaneously at all times. Plus, it has all the other benefits, because anytime you take more than 10 milligrams, what you're doing, again, you're using it recreationally, but you're over expanding and stimulating the body to, open up the blood vessels. So that every time you overdo something, it's usually not healthy. You get me? So that's what we're doing in small doses.
Would you say it's kind of similar to how, like in Silicon Valley, they microdose LSD, which is totally different than actually taking a full dose of LSD, which is going to make you trip balls, versus a microdose, which is just going to make you more creative.
Right. I mean, if you guys know who Ben Greenfield is, which is a huge biohacker of the industry, he talks about microdosing LSD to write, because it's very psychological. It's very eye-opening. I know exactly what he's talking about. And yes, certain stimulants and certain drugs and microdoses are actually extremely beneficial. So one of those is definitely Cialis. Again, we go by the name tadalafil because we work with compounding pharmacies, and compounding pharmacies by nature cannot call Cialis is a brand name. Everybody knows Cialis is a brand name, but the actual chemical composition is called tadalafil, which is the compound version. Same exact thing.
Right. I mean, I have so many follow-up questions on this. I'm going to try to go in order here. So,
sure.
Why do you think, in your opinion, you've been doing this for quite a while? I know you're very well, in tune in this world and the men's health and just health in general. You go to a lot of conferences. Why are so many men having these issues nowadays at 25, 30 years old? Why is this so common? Was it always common, but no one talked?
Try 18. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah.
Was this always the case, but people never talked about it, or is this a new thing that's happening now?
Very good question. So it's a combination of technology. Your phone and your Wi-Fi emits EMRs and EMS, electromagnetic fields and electromagnetic radiations. There's already clinical data showing that it actually affects that. Where do men carry their phone? In their pocket.
Their pockets.
What's the highest thing we're having? Prostate and testicular cancer. What do women carry in their purse or even in their boobs sometimes? They're having breast cancer. So you might not feel it or hear it, but the smallest particles of your cells called mitochondria are extremely sensitive to electricity because of the powerhouse of your cells. So they can feel that electricity. So it's actually overstimulating your mitochondria. We're electrical beings, is overstimulating the system, and that's what's damaging it with the years of being exposed to it. So one of the things I do in my house, I turn off everything: Wi-Fi, router, airplane mode on my phone, so there's no antenna affecting my electrical being. We're electrical beings. So a combination of that, our water supply having, heavy metals, and not to mention stress, especially in COVID times for a lot of people. God bless. God bless everybody, man. Hopefully everybody's fine. Anyways, but not to mention the stress and the overstimulation. We're drowning in electronics. The white lights coming from the computer, all of that is affecting your biochemistry. So clinical data has shown that male testosterone levels have dropped since the 1950s to today, around 48% all the way to 60%. And guess what? I'm not reading it only on textbook. I'm actually seeing it in blood work all the time. To answer your question, forget about 25 and up. I have had 18-year-olds with premature ejaculation or that can't get an erection because one of the things that we're addicted to is, for example, Instagram, all these outlets where what does your brain do? It seeks. Once you find, boom, you get a hit of serotonin and dopamine, but you're overstimulating yourself so much with these pleasure rewards that you're burning out these systems. So by the time you want to have sex or something, you're basically fried. Your system is fried.
For sure. So, I mean, my personal philosophy on this has always been that, like, I'm a big believer in trying to do things naturally when you can, but we live in such a world right now that our bodies were not evolved to live. Like, in the past 50 years, so much has changed. It's going to take us thousands of years to adapt to all of this, and 1,000 years is going to be all these other stressors. So it's just like I feel like trying to do everything 100%, just like, I'm just going to let my body take care of this. I'm just going to, I'm not going to do any hormones. I'm not going to do any peptides. But like, if there's no downside to it, why would you not like try to give yourself an advantage, especially because you live in such a world that literally our bodies were not designed for. Our grandparents did not have to, deal with like all these fucking additional, stressors that, wreak havoc on our body and hormones. Follow-up question I have on this is so aside from sexual issues, which are, come down to mainly erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation, I think, right?
Yes. Premature ejaculation and not being, so some people have the nerve ending that connects the brain to the pudendal nerve in your reproductive system, which creates an erection. Some people, that's why I said from the beginning, shockwave, again, specifically the Gainswave certification that we provide, because you're regenerating the nerve endings. So I didn't touch upon a little detail that I want to touch on. The addiction of porn. Most men, you can access something instantly. Whatever your mind comes up with, you can do. So what happens when you're jerking off and you're ejaculating every single time and getting yourself out? No, people make this into a routine. We speak about this very freely in the clinic because you got to get clear where you are if we want to help you. I've seen every type of case you can imagine. So these things have to be addressed, because if they're constantly done, what do you think you're doing to your prowess? We are electrical hormonal beings. So testosterone is the alpha hormone with pollution, specifically plastics, which have phytoestrogens, which mimic estrogen. So men are becoming more female-like, and they're losing that animalistic response that comes from testosterone molecule. That's why we offer testosterone therapy. So a decrease in that and having an addiction to jerking off to porn, what happens is by nature your testosterone starts to drop. So by the time you're gonna go get that chick, you're kind of you always have in the back of your mind that you can get off on just release on instant gratification. You can get a release out of your body. That's the most powerful energy, if you think about it, that comes out of it. You can be dead tired for 3 days and your sexual energy kicks on, and it's like you slept freaking 30 days. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's one of the things that we see are affecting. So we got to address these things, because personally, I'll tell you what happened to me. At 22, I had this issue. by the time I was 30, it took me about 8 years of a journey to fix my issue. And that's why I'm comfortable to talk about it in camera, because it's the worst thing that a man can feel. In fact, everything that my company stands for is to reignite that drive in men, because it comes from our sexual prowess. It comes from our sexual power. That's what makes you masculine, being connected to that. So not having that led me on a path that I realized every relationship I had at one point, we can get into this later if you want, started to notice that this is a common denominator, man, where you start to sabotage the relationship, because if you're using Cialis recreationally and you can't get an erection, it's easy to time it the first 2 or 3 times. But what happens when you have a girlfriend, or worse, you get married? You're going to pre-plan sex all the time? I'm not kidding. That happened to me. And that's why I'm able to experience this, because I've gotten this out of guys. Think about it. If you can't get an erection,
my penis is going to be at its most firm, so we're going to begin penetration at 10:02, 10:05. We're going to watch Jeopardy.
Doesn't happen. Or the chick, for example, it's happened to me that my girl comes, my ex girl came, and I'm like, oh, sorry, baby, I'm working. She's like, wait, do I smell? Like you start to turn off that energy. It has to be spontaneous. So not being able to have that spontaneity, if that's even a word, but not being able to be spontaneous in a relationship will actually make you sabotage it, because men don't know how to communicate this, which is, it's a fucking problem. If you can't communicate that your shit's not working, imagine the stress you're putting on yourself already. There's
a lot of stigma around like men's sexual issues. You're considered like less of a man if you can't perform, so no one wants to talk about it. So
it's like, worse if you really can't perform and you don't do anything about it. You get what I mean?
Yeah,
That's worse.
What do you think about the whole no-fap movement? Do you think it's good, bad? What do you think about that?
Terrible. No-fap movement, that's ridiculous. Every single hormone in your body starts from fat and cholesterol.
No, sorry, not no fat. No fat, like no jerking off. It's like this. It's like a whole movement. Like as a guy, you shouldn't jerk off. You shouldn't watch porn. You should.
No. Look, you shouldn't if you can. For example, I stopped masturbating years ago, man.
Yeah,
I'd rather do. And don't get me wrong, my brain is always, that's an easy route. I know it so well, but I know how harmful it could be and what it does biochemically. I've seen it on paper. I've experienced it myself, what that could do biochemically when you're constantly releasing that energy. In fact, most successful people talk about, celibacy for a year or something to redrive that energy spiritually to accomplish many greater things. Just as it's the most explosive energy when you're having sex, think about if you can redrive that energy spiritually into something else. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying here, guys, go off and fall and never become a monk and never do or jerk off, because for certain people, this must be almost like eating food. It's like a tradition. So look, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that the more you do it, or anything in excess, is bad. If you're having one here and there, for example, if my girl left for a month, dude, most likely I'm going to jerk off at least once or twice. You get me? Or at least once a week or some shit. Everybody's different. Some people is every day or twice or 3 times a day. You get me? But when you're constantly, that's when it's abusive. When you're doing it every day, twice a day, you're releasing the very energy that's making you want to pick up that chick.
Yeah.
Get me? That drive of like, if I'm not releasing that energy on anything and it's trapped inside, fuck, you better bet I'm gonna I'm gonna do whatever it takes. It's just, that's what makes you male. So in my brain, the way I register
to go for the clothes when you're on a date, like say, a chick is playing a little bit hard to get, you're gonna be like, fuck, I can jerk off anyway. It's not worth the headache. Versus if like that's not an option, like in my mind, jerking off in sadness is not an option. So I'm gonna be very motivated to make sure that shit goes down.
Can you repeat? I'm sorry, I cut you out there.
No, my theory on this has been like, okay, like, if you jerk off here and there once in a while, it's not a big deal. But if that's always an option in the back of your mind when you go
subconsciously, you already have it planted. Right. That's the problem. When you already subconsciously have it in the back of your mind, like, fuck it, I didn't get some here, I'm gonna go and jerk off. You get me? That's the problem, because that's where how do you have a balance if that's already 95% of who we are is in your subconscious. We are a reactive beings, and most of us are asleep in many ways. You get me? Because the subconscious is what controls everything. So if it's in your subconscious and that's always your escape to go, you're never going to push yourself to the very limit to getting the work done. However you need to, because that's your natural instinct. In other words, the way I tell guys is like logically see it like by doing that, you're reducing your chances getting a chick, because it's always whatever. You always have that escape. But when you decision incisive, meaning cutting away from doing something like that and telling yourself, look, man, maybe twice a month, kind of like smoking cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes. How do you get rid of them? Oh, I stopped smoking in the car. Stop smoking in the bathroom. You start cutting away from it. Not that you go from 100 to 0 unless you have some like huge breakthrough or epiphany. But in general, if that's in the back of your mind, it's going to cause some issue. So I'm telling you guys this is because I've had guys that stop and guess what? They come back, especially guys that feel so bad, man. I've seen so many relationships end because of this energy not functioning well. The feedback between you and your dick, your other you. So not having that connection, I've seen relationships end, unfortunately. I've seen some rekindle them. But for the guys that didn't, and that I knew had a porn issue, I'm like, I open up. I'm like, I did too. But the moment you cut that out, you bring more to whatever, if you're single, to whatever chick you're picking up, guess what? Women can smell pheromones. It's a natural chemical that women are turned on by. That's another add-on. So you got to break away from that so that energy can be redriven to your maximum capacity, whoever you are. And all the guys that have followed to a T, all of them have come back to me and told me, yo, bro, I saw some type of result from what you told me. You get me? Something came along and they had a chick and they scored. So I registered in my brain, if I do that, I'm decreasing my chances of getting what I very want from the beginning. So I don't know how people want it.
Especially if you're stuck in a rut. Like you're an intermediate when it comes to pickup, and you're stuck in a rut and you just can't take your shit to the next level. If you completely cut jerking off, and your only option of getting off is to pull a chick back, you're gonna be a lot more jerking. Like it's gonna be you're gonna put in more work. You're not gonna be like, okay, your friends are here.
No. Bro, you'll go out alone. I've seen guys just, fuck it, I'm going to go out on my own. And you know what? That's the best thing you can do. When you just go out on your own, like, I'm going to fucking score tonight. If I score tonight, I'm going to score tomorrow. And if I don't score tomorrow, I'm going to score the next day once you get it done. That's what happens when you really make that decision in your head of, shit, I'm done with that. Personally, the way I put it so people can contrast with it, turning 35, man, I got the most beautiful chick I can imagine. And that was the other detail why I stopped. Because when you're jerking off, you start to fantasize and pervert your mind. There's nothing wrong with sex. I'm the dirtiest guy you probably will find. But I'm saying that the more you do that, it perverts the mind in a way it could be very unhealthy, if you get what I mean.
For sure.
It could be very unhealthy.
On the effects of porn. But I want to circle back to the earlier question. So aside from sexual issues, what are the most common issues you're seeing with younger men in your clinic?
Right. So I'm seeing low testosterone is the biggest one. The guys that are having premature ejaculation or can't get an erection, or they're even starting to confuse their sexuality because their hormones are so low that they're like, yeah, there's a chick. Oh, okay, she's hot. Yeah, but there's you get me? It's not like, damn, that, like when you get turned on by looking. So a lot of guys, that's another issue that we're having. A lot of guys are confusing their sexuality because they're off. They're numb. And it's not like, no. It's not that you don't like them. It's just that every hormone, as I've spoken to you before, Alex, it's related to an emotion. When you're tired, your body releases melatonin. When your mother hugs you, your body releases oxytocin, dopamine. When you're angry, you release adrenaline, epinephrine. When you work out like a monster and you're having sex, you're releasing testosterone. You're producing testosterone, in other words. We're emotional, chemical producing machines. And it happens to be that testosterone is the number one molecule that differentiates us from a female. Right. Women have 1/10 of the testosterone we have, and we have 1/10 of the estrogen they have. It's all the hormones basically the same, but reverted. So with all the epidemic that's going on, plastics, antibiotics in meats. If I ask anybody get anything organic, forget the vegetables, at least for the meats, because there's traces of these antibiotics that damage your system. They're injecting a bunch of estrogen to make them grow. That's why men have a lot more estrogen, not only from plastic, but from eating meat that has a lot of freaking hormones to make them fat really quickly. So the biggest thing that I see is low testosterone. Typically when there's low testosterone, endothelial constriction and dilation goes down with it, and the ability to produce nitric oxide, which is the fuel to the system, also goes down with it. So it's testosterone, the biggest thing that I'm seeing why there's a dysfunction, and for some, psychological.
Yeah. Can you give a quick ballpark? What's like for a man, let's say a man who's 25 years old, what's an acceptable, what's a good, not acceptable, but good testosterone range for them to be in?
So put it this way. From 1945, I forgot exactly the study, just don't quote me exactly, but it's from 1945, the average testosterone levels in a 21 to 72-year-old was anywhere from 850 picograms all the way to 1900. Today, you're seeing 20-year-olds with 300 or less picograms of testosterone.
Yeah.
So if you see the range, a mid-20 healthy year old, if we go back to 1945, he should have been anywhere from 800 all the way to 1900. More on the 1900 side. We were rocking and rolling until 70 years old. For example, my father is a perfect example. My father is 70 years old, and the guy is still running solid rock. How? Don't ask me. There's some older people that they just maintain themselves like that. So we were born to have high levels of healthy testosterone that creates a sex drive, creates erection, creates vasodilation, all these beautiful things until we were like 60 or 70 years of age.
Right.
It's just that with the technology and all these things that we don't know how they're affecting us, we're seeing it much younger. So if you ask today, the average testosterone in a 25-year-old we see is anywhere from like 400, regular 400 to like 1,000 if you're lucky. Now, for optimal, at 25, you should be between 1,200 all the way to 1,800, 1,900. So the total testosterone really doesn't matter either. There's also there's a lot of technicalities that go into like low vitamin D, which decreases the sperm motility, sex hormone binding globulin, DHC levels. It's kind of like a tuning board. It's not just that testosterone is off, it's that the whole tuning board is off.
Yeah, I just want to give that a nice ballpark. But yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot more to it than that. Free testosterone is very important. Sex hormone binding globulin, which, as you know, mine was like, really high before I started boron. Why do you think?
Did it lower, by the way, with you? Did it lower with the boron?
What's up?
Did you find that your sex hormone binding globulin lowered with the boron?
Yeah, now it's like right in the middle.
So, but like, for example, if it was at 50, did it drop 10 counts up to like 40, or was it 3 counts?
It was at 67, and now it's 40.
Wow, really? And all you changed was boron?
Well, it's hard to say because I've also started peptides, so it could be, it's hard to say when you're doing a bunch of things what exactly it was. I think it was probably the boron because the timing on that kind of made sense. But yeah,
right. No, and boron is known for one that can lower sex hormone binding globulin. Just so you understand, sex hormone binding globulin is the carrier of testosterone. The way I like to describe it is like free testosterone are the Ferraris running and circulating throughout your system. The more sex hormone binding globulin you have is like touring around with tow trucks those Ferraris. You might have a nice healthy level of circulating Ferraris in your body, meaning free testosterone, but most of it gets tied up to the sex hormone binding globulin. So when it's really high, it's important to bring it down in order for you to get a natural response better to your testosterone. Anyways, what was the next question?
So my question is, I don't want to open up a whole can of worms here, but generally speaking, like, why is testosterone so misunderstood? Why is there so much stigma around testosterone? If you go to an endocrine doctor, right, your average endocrine doctor, and you're 18 years old, testosterone is 300, they'll say, you're right on the money. Like, don't worry, you don't want it to be higher. Like, if you get it to 600, you're going to get prostate cancer, or you're going to flip out, you're going to get roid rage, or whatever. Like, why is there so much fucking nonsense around testosterone?
I love this question. First of all, it's, the biggest one to say, oh no, but testosterone causes prostate cancer. if you look at the data,
it's actually the opposite.
That came about 60 years ago by a famous American urologist who happened to do a study on one patient of his that already had prostate cancer. And that when given testosterone got worse, and then when given estrogen, it would stop. But one patient who already had cancer. So today I laugh about that, guys, because it is the most ridiculous study ever known to mankind in many ways, and that everybody bought into it. That's what media and mainstream can do. That's the power of them. So anyways, today, if you know what a peer-reviewed study is like, they collect all these studies into one and they make a peer-reviewed one. There's over 80 peer-reviewed studies showing that testosterone is absolutely safe to take and can potentially prevent cardiovascular disease. The problem, here's the catch, here's the caveat, that like anything else, you take one Advil, cures your headache. Take the whole bottle. Watch how fast your kidney and liver will fail and turn off. You get what I mean? Yeah. Same thing here. The thing is that when people think testosterone or hormones, what do you think of? What comes to mind? Oh, you're doing hormones? You're a what? You're a bodybuilder. You're a steroid user. You're a bodybuilder. So they've associated bodybuilding, which it kind of paved the way, which actually they did as a favor because they do 10 to 20 times or even 30 times super physiological doses. Those
guys are doing insane doses. They're not doing anything close to what you would get at a medical, health clinic.
Right?
Or something like that.
Hell no.
It's not like we're not talking 50% more. We're talking like 500% more.
Or almost 1,000%. I'm like, it's just crazy. This is why.
Yeah, because I know several bodybuilders who are like really into steroids. I'm like, when they tell me how much they're doing, it's not like, okay, they're doing a little more than me.
And therapeutically. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. That's why it's the same. It's like taking half a bottle of Advil every day because you have a headache.
Having half a crazy. Preparing, like drinking 5 bottles before 12 p.m. It's like that kind of a ballpark.
Right. So, yeah, man.
There's so much bad information about testosterone. It's insane.
Right. So the testosterone, besides the fact that there's so many studies backing it up and that no, this is not related to bodybuilding. That's why bodybuilders you're seeing 24 or 30 years of age, they're dying of heart attacks. They're pushing their system to super physiological levels that never existed to humankind. They're spending almost $100,000 a month. Like Olympia bodybuilders, those guys are spending almost to $100,000 a month. They're
typically the heart attacks are coming from the insulin, I believe.
Insulin, growth hormone. They're a walking pharmacy. I don't even want to get into that. That's a different subject, but definitely the stigma or misconception over hormone optimization therapy is due to the disease mongering media hype, which was inflicted by the mainstream medicine society. 60 to 75% of the information you will read online is manipulated by big pharmaceutical businesses because they have a big interest in controlling on what you understand. And that's why it's so hard. You go online, you read one article that says, oh, it's great for you. The other article, you're going to die. It's like, which one do I follow? So the problem is, unless you're reading a website or a doctor with good credentials that are well respected in this industry and that really are not bought by mainstream medicine, hence why businesses like ours are pocket out of cash, because mainstream medicine doesn't consider or recognize what we do in many ways, an actual medical condition. In order for them, in fact, to cover your testosterone therapy, which probably be a testosterone gel, which is trash. And if they do injectable, the doctor is doing the protocols that they had on the vials from 1980, over 30 years ago. So for example, they're sending a patient to do an injection of testosterone once a month. If you understand the hype cycle of the medication, it makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. So what they're doing, they're getting these guys on this stuff. They're not getting results, or they're worse. They're getting side effects because they're not cycling this correctly and they're not following the half-life and it's hurting them. So what am I trying to say? Businesses like ours don't take insurance because for billing, it would take you like 8 months to get a quarter of what you're asking for. And it just doesn't make any sense, and they don't cover it. If they do, they're using
medicine is not. It's not created. The main goal isn't to cure you. The main goal is to make money for the insurance company and the pharmaceutical companies, who are the ones who pretty much make the rules. So I've, back when I was like, whatever, like 17, 18, I thought, well, you go to the doctor and he's going to help you. That's how it works.
Right.
And it's still
which it was like that. It used to be like that back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. There was real medicine. Like doctors were almost a nutritionist. They would, hey man, you know what? Go take 3 days of rest, and completely. Well, you need to sleep. You need to work out. You need to stop eating those donuts. That was more like what doctors used to be. Just so you understand, today's a very different world. It's
a completely different world. This is why I always say, if you're having health issues, go to a functional medicine doctor. Like, go to someone like you. Don't go to fucking the GP or something like that. You're gonna get dog shit advice. They're gonna tell you they're gonna pills. They're gonna have side effects that are just gonna fuck you up, or they're gonna tell you it's all in your head, one or the other, and you see a psychiatrist. I remember
that's typical.
To share a quick story, when I was the first time I got Lyme disease, right? I went to a shitload of doctors. I went to rheumatologists, general practitioners. Every single one of them, or except one, refused to test me for Lyme and said that it was probably in my head. I'm like, doctor, wow. I literally can't walk down the street. My joints are so swollen. Well, maybe you should take it easy for a while. Well, I've been taking it easy for like 2 months. I'm pretty much bedridden. Well, depression can be weird. I'm like, I'm not that depressed though. I'm just in a lot of pain. I can barely work. My dick doesn't work. Like, I am fucked up. Well, give it a few more months. Like, every single means. It wasn't until I saw integrated medicine doctor. He's like, dude, you probably have Lyme. Let's test you for that. Like, this sounds like Lyme disease. So that's a quick little side story. Also, which kind of leads me into the question I wanted to ask. What are some, obviously every case is different, and it's like, you have to put the piece together. But what are some like the common themes you're seeing in terms of like curing people and giving them like, improving their quality of lives, just from a whatever practicing perspective? Like, what are you seeing that, okay, across the board, this is something that men need?
Okay, it's a great question. The problem is, for example, I would say what men mostly need is testosterone therapy, but there's still like legality issues where serving men under the age of 30, you can, but some doctors do, some doctors don't, because you're seeing more like you're prescribing this to anybody, kind of like a pill mill, which is not like that. Unfortunately, there are kids that are 20 years old that have the biochemical testosterone levels of a 75-year-old. And because of whether they abuse steroids, they had some damage to the reproductive system, some exposure to x-rays and it damaged your system, who knows? The problem is that most clinics won't work with guys that are not under 30. And the hormone that we recommend is testosterone therapy. Peptides is a big one. And if they can't get on testosterone, anything that stimulates testosterone and I'm not talking about over-the-counter supplements, none of that stuff works. We've had guys take pro testosterone supplements and this stuff, I feel like I gain muscle. We test, we tell them, okay, we see their baselines. We tell them, take again your pro testosterone supplement, and we retest them. For example, we had a guy that was at 453. When we retested him, he was at 458. I mean, you moved an inch on the needle at some what you're really supposed to do to testosterone. You have 400. You should really be like at 800 or plus. So moving it from 53 to 58 is not much difference.
This is why I respect your approach so much, because you approach it from a very scientific perspective. You're like, okay, let's test you before we start anything, see what your baseline is at, and let's test you, maybe 2 months in, let's test you 6 months in. Let's get some objective data to see how well what we're doing is working. Right.
So you asked me this question. What I see, again, I'm not at the doctor in any shape or form, so I'm not a doctor to prescribe anybody anything. It's just personal opinion. But, it doesn't take rocket science to start understanding blood work from seeing the numbers so much. So it's pretty simple. Numbers don't lie. People lie, but numbers don't lie. So we look at your baselines, we do a certain treatment, or we have you try whatever you think works, which has happened with stubborn people. We tell them, hey, that's fine. Do your thing. We'll retest to show you if it worked or not. And every single time, kid you not, I've never had anybody that their levels have been something that I've been like, wow, that really made a difference. You get me? So testosterone is the biggest thing, guys. It's the number one. The way I like to describe it is the tool. It's the hammer of the tool belt, but it's not the only tool. It's the one that does the most damage, and it's the one that you use for the most part. But you have many other tools in your body that have unique functions, certain unique hormones that have unique functions. But if you ask the main one that fixes and smashes on a lot of problems that males have today, is a simple molecule called testosterone. Simple.
So now that we've kind of dispelled some of the bullshit around testosterone, do you think there's any real, if we're talking about using it in therapeutic doses the way your doctor prescribes, is there any like actual downsides to testosterone?
Great question. So I want to have kids. I'm 35 in 1 month. I've been on testosterone since I was 30 years old. As soon as I felt the effect of it, as I told you, it took me an 8-year journey. I did the gains wave, that helped, but I was still having confidence issues, let's just say. And I also had a really high sex hormone binding globulin. The moment I did testosterone, it was like a light bulb went up, and it was like, I have to make a decision right now. Am I going to do this the rest of my life? And I said, fuck yeah. There's no way I'm stopping this because I feel fantastic. It solved, again, it was a jackhammer that solved so many problems in my personal life that I suffered. So I've been on for basically 5 years, and I feel extremely comfortable. This is the difference, and I'm going to explain. Most people call this, and you're going to see this 99% of the times, it's called TRT or HRT, testosterone replacement therapy or hormone replacement therapy. That's an outdated way to say what we do to help others. We do hormone optimization therapy or testosterone optimization therapy. What's the difference? Let me get to it. Testosterone replacement therapy would be to literally just do testosterone by itself. You have something called the HPTA axis, hypothalamic pituitary testicular axis, a feedback loop going between your brain and your testicles. If you start taking testosterone, even if it was therapeutic, you start taking testosterone by itself and you do nothing else, sooner or later, within 6 weeks to 12 weeks, your feedback loop is going to decrease by 99%. And even shut off after a really long time of doing it. So when you shut that mechanism off inside your brain and that feedback, that's where we call it testosterone replacement therapy, because now you're being dependent on it. And you can still get off of it and do a pulse cycle correctly and go back to, there's a study, and the doctor comes from one of the best fertility doctors. He basically did a study on patients who had been taking testosterone for over 10 years. And after 10 years, wanted to have kids or wanted to see if he can create fertility, got them off the testosterone, did a 6-month fertility program with HCG and clomiphene. To be exact, 2,000 units of HCG 3 times a week, clomiphene 50 milligrams 3 times a week. Within 3 months, 96% of the participants recovered their fertility. That's only 3 months into it. So what am I trying to tell you? You can be on testosterone even if you turn off your production. If you're not abusing from this and you're doing it medically backed up, you can still recover your fertility. And if you don't, you fall into a 6%. Man, I'm sorry, that was not your chance. But however, that's not how we offer it. I'm just giving you, that's the worst case scenario. Testosterone optimization therapy, which is what we do, and the reason why we give you testosterone optimization therapy means that while you're on testosterone therapy, we're also stimulating that feedback loop, because 2 reasons. A, we don't know if you're going to commit the rest of your life. So if you stop, we don't want you to go from feeling like 100 to 0 from one day. It takes about 2 weeks for you to, feel that downhill. So in order for you not to feel that, we stimulate your own production. Even if it's low, we'll stimulate it so we don't shut down the mechanisms. We find that we do it in case we don't know if you're going to get off or make that decision, or for fertility reasons. So for example, I take 50 milligrams of clomiphene, 25 milligrams of clomiphene twice a week, just to send some feedback. My feedback is pretty low on blood work, which is usually measured through LH and FSH panels, but my feedback is there, and you can notice through ejaculation, through sperm production, certain ways to see it. So if you're stimulating your production and we're not turning off the HPTA axis feedback that I spoke about, now we're optimizing your levels. So if you're at 600, we can get you on a treatment. We're going to give you a certain stimulant that's going to help you continue the feedbacks. So if you decide to come off, you can get off easily and reproduce sperm, no problem. You're still producing 1 year testosterone. For some men, it decreases. For most of the men, it decreases. However, I've had probably, I can tell you right now, over 60 men on therapy that had their children or got their wife pregnant on therapy. No problem.
Right. So is that really the main one? Because for me, like, I don't even want to have kids. So for me, that's actually a plus. That means it's less likely that, you know, when I forget to wear a condom, that I'm going to get the girl pregnant. So for me, that's like a plus. Like, is there any other negatives?
So listen to me. What do you mean, negative to the medication?
Negative to doing testosterone, like any other downsides.
If you want to feel like $1 million, man, and have your sexual prowess come out and be spontaneous and feel at your best, there's no downsides to testosterone. Today, if you go to the right doctor or clinical hours with a doctor that not only prescribes something, but is actually a client himself, what he's prescribing you, he's researched, tested, and proven without textbooks that they really work, besides textbooks. That they really work. That's the thing that's going on with medicine. There's an incongruency with what the doctors prescribe. Doctors prescribe stuff that they wouldn't even give their kids. Right. So if you come to a doctor like ours that's experienced, that's versed in the subject, and that, for example, that my entire team, there's not one person I don't hire unless you're on therapy. I'm not being biased. I don't want to have the sales guy on the phone. I want a team that this is personal for them, that they really believe in what they do. And this is life-changing. For most men, for me, it was life-changing. For God's sake, it led me to building this company. Because for me, this is a personal mission. How many men are going through what I went through and who start confusing their sexuality or even think about suicide because they can't function? So that's how personal this is to me. And that's why, if you ask me, there's no downsides to testosterone if done correctly with the right physician provider and the right analysis and blood work. And most of all, commitment from the patient, because that's the only time I find people can have side effects. And we've treated over 3,000 clients, okay? Reoccurring clients. The ones that have side effects usually are the ones who start medically dosing themselves because they feel great on it. They're like, woo, what happens if I do a little more? Now you're starting to self-subscribe. Now you're running into a borderline that we don't play with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that makes sense. I want to ask 2 follow-up questions to this. First of all, the only thing that, and I have not experienced this myself, I've been on TRT for almost 2 years now, but I have heard some people report stories that they notice more hair loss on TRT. Is that only if you go really high on the dose, or can that happen even with like a therapeutic dose?
Wonderful question. So I've had a small little hair graft done to show my hair receding lines, because if you look at my history, my family, we've all had receding hairlines. Mine were a little worse than my brother because personal story, just I overstressed myself because of fear. I was a fear reactive survival mentality, led me through so much stress that it caused a little bit faster deceleration. So to answer your question, no. If testosterone, if you have a genetic disposition to being bald, it's just gonna accelerate that. If you don't take certain supplements like taking Nutrafol, this brand that we like to use, saw palmetto, which is a natural herb that basically helps lower the 5-alpha reductive enzyme activity inside your testicles, which is what increases DHT. And DHT is dihydrotestosterone, which dehydrates your hair follicles. So if you take certain substrates to reduce that 5-alpha reductive enzyme, and you don't take DHC. Remember what I told you about hormones? Too much or too little is a problem. If you don't over increase it, then your hair is gonna last the same with therapy or without therapy. The only time you lose it, if you're doing some crazy doses and you actually are genetically disposed to losing your hair, yeah, you're gonna speed it up. So I got the hair graft. When I tell people, I'm like, you think I'm stupid? You think I'm gonna get the hair graft and not think I'm losing my hair and this is gonna keep going back and I'm just gonna have 2 little sprout of hair coming out here like 2 horns? You get me? That's what I thought about. I'm not worried about it. I did it because I knew that mine was very onset from just stress overall, and I knew I'm doing the right things not to lose my hair, and I'm not. It's not in my genes. Get me? I have natural hair receding lines. My whole family does. My dad does, but we still have hair. So yes, you can completely prevent from losing your hair. Some people's levels are so extreme or so sensitive that, I mean, I could tell you it's literally like 1 in 100. I'll see that really cannot touch anything that's related to testosterone, because I guess genetically their DNA sends a signal to increase DHT. They're extremely hypersensitive to DHT.
Right.
Those are the only ones that I would say no. But for the most part, all of us, if you're taking therapeutic doses of testosterone, which is the way we're doing them, like, for example, I'll tell you personally, my dose is 60 milligrams 3 times a week. Otherwise, I get gyno, which is basically bitch tits, they call it, or female tissue building around the nipples. So if you split it up and you do it in small doses and you mimic the natural hormonal circadian rhythm of the body, because the body has a diurnal rhythm, a circadian rhythm, especially hormonally. So when you understand the half-life of all these medications and you learn to optimize it and peak it, but not do this, bobbing up and down, now it's sustainable and you're actually reinforcing your body to regenerate itself. So you will not lose your hair. If you're going to lose your hair, you're bodybuilding, or you're doing it with a doctor that doesn't know what they're doing, and they're not giving you the right substrates to prevent that from happening.
Right. That makes sense.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I have so many technical questions that I want to ask you. I want to bring this back. I want to bring this back because we can just go for like 4 hours like that. All these.
No, but listen to me. I want to answer. By the way, I want to answer you, and I want to answer your people. So if you find within your comments.
Before we get to the comments, I want to bring this back to the topic that's going to be related to everyone here. How have you seen, because after doing this for 5 years, you've seen probably thousands of patients. How have you seen hormone optimization and just general health, overall change people's lives?
Sure. Look, what we do for a living is medicine. It's simple. Medicine has been lost. Yeah, if you go to conspiracy times, well, it's not even conspiracy. It is actual legitimate information. You go back to the Rockefeller times, like literally beginning of 1900, and you see that the story and history shows that we developed medicine to make another stream of profit. Let's just go to keep it that simple. So, and that's why chiropractors, herbalists, homeopathic nature doctors are known as quacks on the back of the butt, while the guy that has MD next to him is a doctor. But that MD is on your, oh no, well, you need to sleep. Oh no, you're depressed. You've seen it for yourself. They're just spitting out things that they don't even know, because they're trying to be the nutritionists, they're trying to be the herbalists, they're trying to be everything. And it's like, this is what I also say. People start thinking. So think about this. Who is written all the medical literature textbooks? Who is it backed up by? Nobody's ever asked themselves that question?
That's a good question. What was it going to be? The insurance companies, the
pharmaceutical business, baby. So that's why in medical school you learn about biology and anatomy, and you also learn about pharmacology, which is the one they drill in your brain the most. Pharmacology is find these from A to Z symptoms, prescribe this medication. Right. Pharmaceutical business and mainstream medicine is interested in patented medications. Because patented medications, you can charge whatever you want, literally, and you can hold a patent for 17 years. And every 17 years, they change the branch a little bit of that molecule. They have to prove that it's non-human grade, that it's not like air, it's not like hormones that are bioidentical. It has to be broken from its natural nature state so they can patent it.
But you can't patent testosterone, right? And it's also super fucking cheap.
Because it's bioidentical. And guess what? These companies produce it, but they don't promote it because they're going to have compounding farming. There's so much people that can get into it that they don't want to promote that, because the only way they can keep the oligopoly they have is by running it, by using medications that are patented. Notice how the same medications that have been around from the 60s are literally the same they are now, and many like cancer medications even. So you have an idea.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Me Too drugs where a company makes like very small differences and then repatents it.
And then they just put a new name, and that's it. It goes back into the market. Vioxx.
I want to bring this back to how do you feel? Okay, let me make this question more specific. How do you feel? Your health as a man is related to your ability to get chicks.
Wait, repeat.
In your opinion, how is because I think there's a lot of, especially in my pickup community, there's a lot of disconnect for a lot of these guys between health and picking up girls. They think there's no correlation.
Ooh.
I've always been a big proponent that there's actually a very strong correlation. So what's your opinion on that? Why is there correlation here?
Health cannot be more tied to your ability to pick up a chick than I could possibly, and forget about picking up chicks only, for everything in life. If you think about it, you only have one mind, one body. And especially if you're picking up chicks, well, I don't know how old your age community is, but when you're 18, you don't worry about this. When you're like 29 and up, going out at night and trying to pick up a chick when you're tired can be a pain in the ass. It can be difficult. And that's where drugs start. Oh, I need a stimulant. Let me take some Adderall. Let me take some cocaine. And that's how drugs start. No, this is another thing that I've experienced and I've seen in the community. We're getting older. We start using stimulants to keep us going, which are damaging the very own thing that I'm trying to fix already. You know what I mean? Oh. So health has everything to do with you picking up chicks and you accomplishing any in life. Because without health, you can't. If there's many billionaires that are literally sick and tired all the time. And if you're sick and tired all the time, how are you supposed to enjoy all that? Well, you can put all the Victoria's Secret models, but if I have a fever, are you going to be enjoying that? No, doesn't even make sense. So I'm comparing it to that level of extreme because it's the only way people can actually see that it's pretty much the same way. True wealth is your health. Without your health, you got nothing. Yeah. We always say that. True wealth.
My theory on this, and I think this is, you can't really argue with this, is that a woman can tell on a primal level what your general level of health is. She can
your skin, your teeth, your gums.
Yeah. Like if you're unhealthy, she can almost sense that. Like women have evolved
almost
biological.
They can totally sense that. Sorry to cut you off. I'm so excited to do this when I speak about this. They're biologically tied. Remember, we deliver a message. They're the receivers.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything. They just have to receive. So you better bet they're extremely sensitive to noticing certain things about men. Idiosyncrasies, mannerisms, your skin, the way you talk, the way you look, your testosterone. That comes out of you. Masculinity, women are turned on by masculinity. Yeah. That's why total opposites attract. Very male attracts a very super female. It's just a perfect match. And usually females like a very alpha guy.
Right.
We're all supposed to be alpha. The problem is that more men today are more female-like because of all the things that we spoke. That brownness is not coming out. So yes, health is tied in every shape or form. Now let me close it out for you. If you're 18 years old, let's just say 18 to just depend on how much you partied and how much damage you've done in your system. But 18 to 25, I would understand why they don't pay attention. And they don't have any issues sexually and everything functions fine. I would understand why they were it's not really affecting me. But sooner or later, I don't care who you are, it's going to catch up to you. Whether it's at 28, whether it's at 30, whether it's at 40.
100%.
For me, you get me? At one point, it's going to catch up to you. And when it does, then what? You're not even prepared. You don't even know what to do. Now you start freaking out. Holy shit, but I'm not responding the same way. You start questioning. And now you're putting all that stress. You start that inner dialogue. And now you're going on a downward spiral where it can lead that I can fix you physically, I can fix you biochemically, but if I can't change your psychology, your psyche about the situation, you better bet you're not going to get an erection.
Uh-huh.
That literally, it took me, for example, I had ED until I was 30. I got on testosterone. I did the gains weight thing. Many microdoses of daily Cialis, which I still do. All of a sudden, I started to wake up with erections every day, or I would kiss my girl, or I would think of a tip or something, and immediately I felt the blood go down there. For God's sake, I don't know if men know, but if you're not waking up with an erection minimum twice a week, and you should be almost every other day, most likely you have low testosterone, or you're getting there, because it's natural when you have high testosterone levels for vascularity to be pumping at full function.
Yeah, let the record show that I wake up with a boner every day. Let the record reflect this information.
That's great. If you're waking up, that's a great sign. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I think that my whole thing has been since I started playing with fire is that if you want to really optimize your success with women, you have to optimize your health.
Absolutely agree.
You are not going to be at your peak unless your health is optimized. It's just if you think you're already doing pretty decently, trust me. Once you get your health on point, you'll be doing even better.
So let me add to everything that we do, because we don't just do testosterone treatment. We do peptides. We do many things. But one of the things we do prescribe as well is exercise. Like if some guy comes into our office and I see he's stressed the hell out and he's not sleeping and he's saying, he's blaming it on everything else, except, hey, man, you know what you really need? You need to learn to shut up, sit down, and shut your mind off for a second. You need to learn how to go to the gym and be disciplined. So one of the main biggest, it's like the wingspan of a bird. If it's not 50-50, it won't fly straight. We're going to tweak your engine to function neurologically, metabolically, and immunologically at peak performance. Now, we need you to do your work.
Right.
Your work is to do this stuff on the half-life, to follow our protocols, and to get your ass into a gym or home. If you see a picture of me and my brother, we walk around 8 to 13% body fat, and I'm probably just as big as when I was working on a gym. Today, you can accomplish it however you can, as long as the will is there. So doing testosterone therapy, if needed, or if you want to optimize it.
You kind of froze there.
It's something that we totally prescribe because testosterone increases protein synthesis. Protein synthesis is the ability to produce more muscle fibers. If you put resistance against the muscles, you're going to make more muscle fibers. By making more muscle fibers, you're going to develop more androgen receptors inside your body. And the more androgen receptors, the more testosterone you produce, the more dihydrotestosterone, the more pregnenolone you produce, the more dihydropyandrosterone, which are all other androgens that create that perfect signature chemical molecule that makes you energetically. That's why every single human being is differently. So exercising is what, and I'll leave it with this so people can understand. Usually they say to get big on the top, to get bigger on the top, you got to work out your legs. And it's completely true. And the reason your glute is your strongest muscle in the body, but when you work out legs, the most amount of androgen receptors exist in your legs. So the bigger you get your legs, the more androgen receptors, the more naturally you're raising your testosterone. And if I told anybody the most powerful way to maximize results is to pack on some muscle. I'm not talking about get huge, just talking about pack on some muscle. That you can take off your shirt and that you look like from far, that guy's fit. You don't have to have an 8-pack. You don't have to have a 4-pack. If you ask me body fat, where you should be, forget about weighing yourself. This tells me sort of where your health state is if you're not doing a bunch of steroids to get there. Staying between 9% body fat to 14% body fat, it is the healthiest thing and the most healthy psychological thing, because it's a percentage of body fat that you can. There's a lot more leeway. For example, I've been at 6% body fat, and at that level, anything you eat, you see it. You can see when you're 6 or 8%. So you're constantly playing this yo-yo thing, and it's a pain in the ass. It consumes too much time. Where I find that you can live your life more calm and more chill. I got my chick, I got my place, I got everything I want by stay between 9% to 14%. That's where I notice you have the most leeway, where you look fit. You always look fit. You just, when you're more in the 9%, your abs show. When you're more in the 14%, the abs don't show, but you're still in good shape. The point of me saying all of this is the healthiest percentage that we've seen personally that keeps the man moving, and that keeps you driven, it keeps you going. That's what working out is. You're pushing to failure, and in that moment of failure, it's kind of the way I tell people in their brain, you're going on second gear. You're going on fourth gear. It's very comfortable to ride in fourth gear. Until you hit a hill, you got to learn to downshift. To downshift is to bring that energetic force out of you by switching from fourth to first gear in order to generate the strength for you to do that next rep. And that next rep is what chemically makes you stronger, makes you more alpha, makes you more attractive, makes you more creative to pick up a chick.
Yeah. I mean, I can do a whole thing on this, but the way working out, in my opinion, is huge. So first of all, it's a form of meditation. You could not be thinking about this or that while you're lifting an extremely heavy weight on a compound lift. Second of all, it requires positive visualization. Like if you want to hit PRs pretty much every time you go to the gym, at least 10% is going to be like how you approach it in your mind. Like you have to visualize the weight. If you want to hit PRs like all the time. I've noticed personally, if I go to the gym, I'm lifting and I'm just like thinking about this or that, or I'm really focused on the muscles moving and on, getting one more in, I will do 10 to 15% better just by having my mind.
Right.
It teaches you all these lessons. It teaches you not to be lazy. It teaches you to be disciplined because, as we know, working out by itself is not enough. You also have to either have a calorie surplus, calorie deficit, get enough protein. You have to follow, a good diet. Your sleep has to be on point. But in addition, I think that it gives you a lot of confidence. Like you take your shirt off, and if girls like, "Wow, you look good," or like, which one of those make you feel better about yourself? Also, it's a lot easier when you have muscle. People treat you, even if you're the biggest bitch in the world, people will treat you like you're an alpha.
Yeah.
When everyone treats you a certain way, it's much easier to just kind of fit into that role. Versus if you're a super skinny guy, you're like 125 pounds, which was basically what I used to be 3 years ago.
Wow. 125 pounds? And you're how tall are you?
I was 135. I'm 5'11".
Yeah, I remember you're tall. Wow. 125, that's low, buddy.
But I got your point. I'm about 170 now.
125, I can't even imagine.
No, it was 135. Yeah. But that's also when I was the sickest with Lyme disease, so that definitely fucked me over a lot because I just couldn't lift at all because of all the joint pain. But anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is that it's just people, when you have muscle, people treat you differently, and that makes it easier for you to be that alpha guy. So I think, to me, working out is huge. Like, again, if you're serious about increasing your success with women, you have to work out. 1,000%.
Right. As you said, it creates discipline. And if you ask me, out of everything that I do, what would I tell you is the most important thing for you to start, that if you continue to do, is going to lead to everything that I do, or it's going to lead into a healthy life.
Yeah.
I always say, if I can put in the nucleus of everything that's going to ignite the whole thing, is get your ass in the gym. Because I've been at freaking 6% body fat, ripped out of my mind. And when I remember when I first saw somebody like that, I was in awe. I was like, I didn't even have words. Why? Why do most people feel that awe feeling? And it's to add to what you're saying. Most people feel that is because they don't understand how the hell is that possible. I'll tell you how it's possible. I've been doing it for 35. I started at literally 15. Been doing this for freaking 20 years, bro. Okay? I could tell you that day in and day out. Day in and day out. Just keep coming back to the gym, whether you know what you're doing. Obviously, if you're smart, try to get yourself a trainer in the beginning, watch a couple of videos, whatever it takes. But what we typically recommend for if I have somebody that's never really worked out or that hasn't done this in a very long time, data shows that it's better for you to do 1 to 2 times per week for at least 3 to 4 months than you go balls to the walls doing 5 to every day. In typically 3 months, you lapse and you fall off the wagon and you go back to your old ways. So whether it's once a week for you, if that's the lowest, like let's say you're obese, walking 10 feet, next time walk 20 and walk 30. So putting in a regular perspective, working out, doing weights once a week, try to push to 2 times per week and maintain that. If you have no experience for 3 to 4 months, then your body by nature is going to tell you, no, let's do another day. Let's do 3. And all of a sudden it turns into 5. I wouldn't recommend more than 5.
I do 6 days a week.
So wait, I don't recommend more than 5. It's 6 days a week, meaning I don't recommend for you to be training CrossFit 6 days a week.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, like intensive. Yeah.
It's just
split training.
It's just your body needs recovery. So right. I'll give you my thing, and I'm in the best shape I can imagine. I feel amazing. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do weights. So Monday I'll do chest, bicep, anterior deltoid. Wednesday I'll do legs. Friday I'll do back, tricep with posterior deltoid. Tuesday and Thursday I'll do like a MMA multi-cardio intensive class. I put it on YouTube. I've been at home for 2 months. I'm like, let me get creative. I even do a freaking hip hop class. Go dance. And then on Saturdays I'll do like a quick 20-minute intensive like a routine, and then with at least 30 minutes of stretching. So I work out 6 days a week, not because I have to, but because I love to. I don't know. I forgot to touch that point. When health becomes to the point that, and this is a common denominator in guys like me that I've seen, you cannot start your day without exercising. We don't exercise because we want to look good. We exercise because if not, we go insane. It's like we have to release the energy for me to feel like, let me take on the day. If not, it's overwhelming. I need to work out. And that's when you've reached the peak. Because at this point in my life, and I'm giving you guys this because it's what I do for a living. I love it, for God's sake. It's just automatic. We're habitual beings. The more you start doing something, whether it's once a week, as I said, but you're consistently doing it for 6 months, it becomes twice. After a year and a half, you start doing it 5 days a week, and all of a sudden you're doing it 20 years. And where it's for me, I don't even think about it. It's subconsciously. I get up, I make my coffee, I look at my book for a second, I do whatever I have to my phone really quickly, I work out, and then my day starts.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Another thing I want to touch on before we go to the question is, actually, I don't know if I ever told you this, but one thing you got me on was intermittent fasting.
Oh, yes, intermittent fasting.
I've been doing intermittent fasting for 6 months now, and I fucking love it, dude. I will swear, I am never going back. Never. I think intermittent fasting is fucking great. You just feel so much better.
Yeah. How many hours are you doing? 16, 18, 14? You're doing the 16, but every single day, or one day, you're slack?
Sometimes one day exception, like maybe once a week. I'll do like 12, not 12, like 14 and 10 or something like that. But generally it's 16 and 8, like pretty much every day.
Wow. Yeah, well, hey man, you're doing really good. Lately I've been kind of slacking with it, but if I would recommend anybody, 16 hours. Hey, if you break it at 12, it's fine. But try to get used to doing it every day at 16 hours, because 16 hours causes something called autophagy. Autophagy is your body grabs broken down, damaged proteins, basically laser targets them, destroys them, and regenerates stronger, more athletic per se cells, where you're more prone to neurologically be at fit. Oh, by the way, neurologically, the reason why it optimizes cognitive function is because it increases something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factors. So it actually makes your brain almost like, I don't know if you've ever taken an Adderall, but it's like a natural high of Adderall, where it's focus, laser sharp focus. And that autophagy state of BDNF starts literally from 16 hours up to 20. You'll see that the more you do it, Alex, you're going to see that all of a sudden the day's going to go by and you're like, shit, I've been fasting for 18 hours. Oh, fuck it. Let me go to 24. Like, I'll eat at 8 o'clock at night, and I had a whole day where I'm going to eat next hour. But I couldn't because I was working and I was all over the place. By the time I reached 4 o'clock, I'm like, 4 more hours, I can get to 24. That's at the level that I'm at. I can do a 24-hour. And it makes you realize how brainwashed we are to thinking that we need to eat so much. Like that you go a couple hours. When you do it that extreme, the next day you want to maybe have regular 3 meals. And it could be in the 8-hour window, but doing it every day is not good.
Breakfast. I mean, breakfast tastes fucking good, but you can eat breakfast at 10 p.m. There you go. You
can eat breakfast at 12 p.m.
Yeah.
I eat at 8 o'clock at night. I'll break my fast at 12, and I'll eat eggs for lunch. I mean, a scrambled egg or an omelette, which is fantastic for you. But the whole purpose of intermittent fasting, it increases BDNF in your brain, cognitive performance. So if you're a very active guy, what do we want? We want more focus. So when you're fasting, you feel lighter and you're more focused. Metabolically, your body's fueling, since after 8 hours of sleep, you have basically no reserves. And your body is becoming more efficiently and oxidating fatty acids into energy rather than glucose. So you're becoming a more fat burning machine rather than a fat storing machine without doing much. just by disciplining your brain that, hey, let me hold on to the 16 hours. And you're stimulating your body so you look naturally more fit. Oh, immunologically, as I said, it laser targets all these damaged proteins. So immunologically, you're helping your immune system to be boosted, especially throughout these times. Which there's also a peptide for that. We can always get into that another day.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one for peptides.
Yeah. Peptides. I'll be happy to do peptides, man. Peptides, dude, look, this is how
they're fascinating, dude. I've been looking into it, like especially the videos you sent me, dude. It's fascinating.
This is how I fell in love with it. Oh, you watched the videos that I sent you? All the interview things? Wonderful. I love that. Thank you. So the way I love that they described it, when I heard that, it was the same bell as when I got into the business. I think it was Ryan from Tailor-Made Pharmacy. He's like, look, hormones are the algebra in math, while peptides are the new calculus in math. I was like, what? It completely blew me. As you said, they have a really high medicinal level of benefit, and the downside is virtually none because they're natural amino acid sequences that, for example, my color is an injection, and we can bring my wife some other day. She can be on it. I can fully testify. You've met me this color. You've seen me tan. I've never been non-tan. It's been 2.5 years that I've been doing a peptide called melanotan 2, or they write it like melanotan II. You can look it up, melanotan 2. What it does, it causes the gene expression in my system to create more melagenesis, which melagenesis induces the body to produce more melanin. By having more melanin, you're naturally dark, and not like board short dark so for your reproductive area is white. No, you're dark from the head to your toes. Everything gets dark. It produces more melanin. The reason why I do it is because I'm really white. Like, I'm whiter than you, Alex. Like, people don't understand that. Is that I've been surfing for years, and I've been exposed to the sun a lot. But the way I maintain my color right now is through melanotan 2. And my natural color, if I stop going for like 3 months in the sun and I don't come out of walls, I'll be whiter than you. So people don't believe that. But the reason why I do it, if I go surfing, if I go kiteboarding, if I go wakeboarding, I love the water, I love the sun, and I'm really white, I'm gonna get sunburned in 2 hours. And if I stay forward, probably I'll peel. It's terrible. So a way to reduce my chance of not having to put a bunch of chemicals on my skin that are gonna freaking reduce my testosterone level, guess what? I inject a peptide twice a week or sometimes once a week to maintain my natural melagenesis inducing system to produce more melanin that when I was white. So therefore, when I go to the sun, my skin can resist the sun better. It actually ages your skin slower because the darker your skin is, the less damage, the more resistant it is to the sun. But besides that, there's a lot of medical research that shows it has anti-inflammatory properties to the brain. So by reducing inflammation, you reduce chances of having any neurological disease like dementia, schizophrenia, anything like that. But yeah, so peptides are the calculus of math. We're just stimulating the body to cause expressions that are virtually zero side effects, and we're only messing with amino acids. Protein is 22 amino acids tied together. Peptides are anywhere from like 20 all the way to like 100 amino acids tied together where they cause a certain expression in your body. It's beautiful. That's real medicine. We're using natural substances to restore the balance of the body. For God's sake, if you read there, redesign your health redesign your life with medical science. The new one is redesign your health, but redesign your life with medical science. Today, you can actually help your body to fully be optimized. Just as having your iPhone today, I don't know how to do something. You have no excuse. You have everything in your hand. What your phone can do is what a computer did 70 years ago, that they needed to take a whole room and it cost $35 million to get the information you can get in a second by just talking to Siri. Same thing here.
I think in the beginning, there's so much bad information out there. So much.
Way too much. Way too much.
Just be confident, bro. Just be confident. Be nice. And then she'll fuck you. Like, there's so much bad information. Most people I talk to, they don't really know what peptides are. Like, it's just, like once you start looking into it, you're like, holy shit, this stuff is awesome. I think the average person has no idea what the fuck peptides are.
When I talk peptide, I tell people I'm injecting this color. They're like, what?
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, yeah, I know. It's not very complicated, but it's fantastic. It just reminds me, Michael Jackson paid millions of dollars to become white, and he had so many complications. I just have to inject this thing twice a week, and I maintain the opposite. I like to be darker, and no side effects. I've been on it for 2 years and a half. It's freaking amazing.
Let me ask
I
you,
will never get off of it.
What peptides do you personally do right now?
I'm not doing many peptides, but I've learned because, I've gone to the International Peptide Society. I follow the gurus, the Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and, Michael Jordan in the business. Let's just say that those are the guys that I follow and I see what they're doing. So I try to move my peptides every 8 weeks also because I'm a mad scientist. I like to experiment how these things work besides looking at the medical literature and what they're supposed to do. Before we offer anything, we try it ourselves. Right. The doctor and I try everything, especially the peptides, because they're non-controlled. Again, the medicinal upside is tremendous and even magical in some cases. And the downside are virtually no side effects.
Yeah.
Like very little side effects.
For anyone who's watching this and just wants a very quick idea, I'll share what peptides I personally do. So I do CJC and apomorelin for boosting natural human growth hormone levels. I do BPC 157 and thymosin beta for injuries because I have a lot of these weird injuries from snowboarding and shit. And I do 5-amino for muscle gain and keeping low body fat. So
how do you get the 5-amino? The 5-amino is not available anymore.
5-amino is what?
Where do you get 5-amino? It's not available anymore.
Yeah, I know a guy who stocked up a shitload of it. So
Tailor-made pharmacy, let me guess. Tailor-made pharmacy, let me guess.
He gets it from TaylorMade, but why do you not do 5-amino anymore?
Trust me, I'm trying to get my hands on that, and many people are.
I'll give you
the product itself, the ingredient, is very difficult to find. Less to mention the situation we're in, it's even harder to find. But they're gonna find it. But 5-amino, I'm on 5-amino right now. I actually just finished my 30-day cycle. Do not do it more than 30 days because it throws your lipid panels off. But 30 days, it's like it blocks a fat enzyme and basically leans you out, and it helps you build muscle. If you use it before working out, it increases contractile force by 70%. Typically, I'll do it right before a workout, right before my meal. So I'll time it that I take it, I work out, and then I eat. So it blocks my body from absorbing that fat. Anyways, but cool. Peptides are fantastic.
It's good stuff. So before we get into the questions, I want to sum up. Let's do a 30-second overview of the key points that we've talked about. So I'm going to try to sum this up. You let me know if I miss anything. 1, there's a very strong link between your health, your ability to fuck girls, and your ability to pick up girls. It is an extremely strong link. It's not maybe 100% directly related. 2, working out is huge and has a host of benefits ranging from, being more confident woman to looking better, to feeling better, to living longer. 3, testosterone is highly misunderstood. And, if anyone here feels like they might have low testosterone or just wants to take control of their health, I think the first step is just to get blood work done. So you can be objective, see where you're at exactly. So whenever people ask me, do you think I should do TRT? I'm saying, well, what are your blood levels at? I'm like, I don't know. I've never checked it out.
Right. It's like having the engine light of a car on and not having a mechanic check it. Blood work is like lifting the hood of the car and actually seeing what's going on. That's the first step.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Am I missing anything, or are those the big takeaways?
No, you've pretty much hit all of them. And now that you bring the working out and muscle-wise, it's so important. In reality, the organ after your heart, the most important organ in your body is literally your muscles. Your muscles affect endocrine system. Your muscles affect all adrenal glands. Your muscles help you improve insulin sensitivity, improve glucose response. Your muscle is the most anti-aging thing you can do for your system and to make you be at your 100% best. So definitely cannot agree with you that the muscle and being healthy and picking up chicks cannot be more correlated. Hey man, I got it to back up. I got the most beautiful chick, and one of the most reasons why I picked up that beautiful chick is because she told me, I can see it from your teeth, from your skin. Healthy dude. I'm a healthy guy. And women are attracted because they got to create an offspring, and they got to, it's in their DNA to procreate. That's why we like fucking. We're made to procreate. Women want to find that guy. If you look at penguins, once they get together, they die together. They never split apart. If you look at kingdom, it's very similar, guys. Like the more you have health on your side, the more a woman is going to be turned on. I'm talking about ancestors 3,000 years ago, where they look, wow, this guy has healthy traits for me to have a kid. I don't know, his attitude's a little crazy, but you know what? Health is there, and they go for that. Besides the money that they go after today, not all of them, it's the health aspect. So is it related? 100% biologically.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, one other thing. So microdosing Cialis could be one of the good solutions for erectile dysfunction, right?
But wait, don't put it for erectile dysfunction. Don't put the stress there. We tell clients, I'm like, look, we just want to help improve a little bit of that aspect, but we really want to fix all the other cardiovascular issues that are going to be worse if you don't fix. If you're not getting enough blood flow to your penis, your heart function might not be very well. Your blood pressure might be too high. You're putting too much pressure on the walls, and that's what damages your system and creates cardiometabolic disease, where your vascular disease, where your ability to dilate and constrict basically disappears. And now you got to take like 100 milligrams of Cialis or sildenafil, which is a compound name to it, to even get an erection. For God's sake, even worse, you got to start injecting your penis with Trimix to get an erection. Do you know how many guys we have of those? When you don't fix the issue at the early stages. So microdosing daily Cialis, besides the fact that it keeps the pathways to your penis healthy and spontaneously be able to get an erection when needed, it's great for your heart, your prostate, your brain, and overall blood vessel function.
Yeah.
So
I think also that you can develop a big psychological thing. If like session after session you can't get hard, now even if you fix the physical issue, you have this mental stress around it. Like me personally, right? I'm fortunate never to have really suffered from erectile dysfunction. So for me, like there's no stress. I don't even think about it because I know it's going to happen. I know for a lot of guys, they're literally fucking like, oh God, I hope I can get hard. I hope I can get hard. And that creates this additional
what do you focus on? That's what I try to explain. Oh my God, am I going to go? You're already going with the wrong mentality. You're already focused on, you're not even in the moment.
Yeah.
You're focused on, am I going to get my dick hard or not? Because it's the most embarrassing, it's the worst experience a man can have, especially if you don't have your personality developed completely. Like, I'm a man. I know myself. And if it happens, say, man, I was drunk, I was tired, it didn't happen, which that never happens anymore. But if I did, I can handle it in a way that I can brush it off. But when you're younger, and again, even to you that you've never had an issue, imagine tomorrow, all of a sudden your dick is not getting hard. Like, you're going to be, what the fuck? You're going to freak out. Not saying you, but most men will freak out because you never had an issue. And all of a sudden you have a flat tire and you don't got the spare tire to fix it. You get what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's crack into some questions. We got quite a few. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so what is a good way to be spontaneous in bed?
What is a good way to be spontaneous in bed? A good one. Wow. I've never even, how do you even mix that question? It's spontaneous. That sounds to me like, man, you gotta be you, baby. Spontaneous in bed. Trust your instinct. Trust your character. And because if you're how do I answer that question? When spontaneous in bed.
This is the way I'll set it up.
If you ask, please answer it, and I'll redirect my message.
This is my one. Make sure your dick works, right? So if you're getting pushed all the time, like say you're like doing some touristy shit, and then you have a healthy sex drive and you get hard, that's gonna make it very easy for you to fuck this chick, on the balcony of some church or whatever, like fucking 12th century Gothic architecture. You're like railing your big titty Latina girl. Two, don't be a bitch. Like don't be like if you want to go for it, like sex does not only need to happen in bed at night. Like I fuck girls at every hour of the day, at every place. Like it's just like whether I want to do it or not. That's where she also has to want to, obviously. But
of course.
Those two factors are met. Third, just don't be afraid of what you like. Like I know what I like, I know what I don't like. So I have no problem communicating that to a girl. And I think you combine those three things, you're gonna be quite spontaneous.
Right.
All right. So let's go. Sorry?
Yeah, no. Again, you answered it perfectly fine. And again, I would just add on, man, you got to work on yourself. That's what it sounds like to me. Work on yourself.
For sure. All right. So this guy says, I agree. I haven't watched porn in 3 weeks. Smash last night. It was amazing. All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's
We're
some
happy for
evidence.
you. Okay, so here we got a question. Is free testosterone important? Mine is not 40. I think he's thinking of his total testosterone. There's no way his free testosterone.
Yeah, right. He would be fucking a chicken. He would fuck anything that walks if he had that level. He would be in jail probably.
He's confusing free with total testosterone, but I think what he's asking is free testosterone important in general, and the answer, of course, is yes.
Right. So, yeah. He definitely, again, that's your total testosterone. You need to know your free testosterone. But either way, numbers don't really mean anything today. I'm not going to get into that part of the conversation. But today, doctors that are at our level know that the numbers don't mean anything. It's all about symptoms. If you have the symptoms, there's an issue. It needs to be fixed. And if it's not your testosterone, it could be, as I said, it could be a physical thing.
You're right, for sure. All right, so let's take a look. So far, I'm loving this guy. Keep it coming, guys. Okay, so that's just there was a doctor.
Thank you, Bucky. Thank you.
There was a doctor on YouTube who said if you eat cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, kale, it will reduce estrogen in older men. Is that true?
Yeah, so cruciferous vegetables like cabbage or cauliflower, hard vegetables, broccoli, they have something called DIM. DIM, I can't, scientific name, don't even ask me, but look up DIM. D as in dog, I as in initial, M as in Mary. DIM is a natural compound that helps you oxidize and flush out estrogen out of your body to kind of regulate the testosterone to estrogen balance. Because most men think, that's the other thing, we can get into that some other time, but most clinics will get a patient on testosterone therapy and put them on an AI blocker, aromatase inhibitor, like an anastrozole, and they'll suppress your estrogen. And suppressing your estrogen is the most unhealthy thing you can do today. Kills your libido, kills your bone density, kills your ability to burn fat, it kills your confidence, it kills everything. So, in other words, this is a more natural way of bringing it down. But in reality, today's studies, and from what we know, having higher estrogen levels is not a bad thing. As long as testosterone goes up, estrogen should come up with it. But there should be a healthy ratio between them, or usually 10 times more testosterone than you have estrogen.
Can we quickly touch on this? What is the, because I know the answer to this, but I want to hear kind of the way you explain it. Why are estrogen blockers generally like something you should be very weary of?
Weary because the clinical data today shows that if you take that stuff, it's going to lead you to a heart attack, or you're going to have some type of cardiovascular disease. Right. It's shown that bodybuilders that have taken freaking up to 14 milligrams in a week, they do a DEXA scan and their bone mineral density of a freaking 92-year-old.
Yeah, like no bones, yeah.
No bones. That's why they go up 2 flights of stairs and they're like, they're tired because their body is completely decaying from the inside out, literally. Yeah. So, it's showing that it decreases bone density, and it actually, this was literally almost a year and a half ago we learned this. Not every doctor, most doctors, 99% of them are still with the old protocols. But we understand that today by having a healthy ratio of testosterone to estrogen, and if you're not symptomatic, it's actually really healthy for weight loss, for bone density, for sex drive is one of the biggest ones. You need estrogen to produce that euphoric feeling. So DIM, if you want to take it, you can, but unless you have some issue and you're overproducing estrogen, you're getting acne, and it's affecting your sex drive, then you might want to bring it down a little bit, which is never the case. We use DIM. We use DIM for guys, for example, that are, 60% of the population has the gynecomastia gene. So if they take testosterone, there's a 60% chance. If you do 1 shot per week, you're going to develop some type of gyno. And the only way to get rid of it is 3 ways. Or take the AI, which is an aromatase inhibitor, which is terrible for you. It's always our last option. B, get the gyno surgery, which you have to do it correctly with the right doctor, because if you don't extract it correctly, the glandular duct will regrow back, and you have to get it 2 or 3 times again if it's not done correctly. Or C, the most simple way, which is the way that I do, and it's just your commitment. Reduce the dose, increase the frequency. So if you were doing 200 milligrams, for example, I do 180 milligrams a week. Instead of doing 1 injection per week, I do 3 injections of 60 milligrams 3 times a week. Therefore, I don't aromatize too much testosterone into estrogen. Another conversation that we can't get into right now, but it's just the way your body
all day, every day when it comes to
what?
All right, so let's go to the next one. Does taking testosterone worsen hair loss? Even while so we've kind of covered that.
We already touched
this pretty extensively.
Wait, but take Nutrafol for that. Take Nutrafol or Supplemental. It'll help to decrease it. That's it. That's all I'll answer to that.
Yeah, for sure. Michael, a YouTuber said that testosterone gets you more facial hair. Is that true?
Yes, and it will actually make testosterone is an androgen that will create more masculinity. So your voice will get a little thicker. You'll grow more of a beard. You do grow hair in some other places. Yes, absolutely increases hair growth.
All right, good. I've heard TRT is for life. If I went on it, I just have to keep taking it indefinitely. That's my main concern.
Yeah, simple. If you're digging and getting hard and you're gaining weight and you feel like a little bitch, excuse my language and my French, but I have to be that direct with that. It's simple. You need to be on testosterone therapy. If you don't have prostate cancer, if you have a green light and blood work, everything looks good and your testosterone is low, yes, it's a life thing. I made that choice at 30 years old. I knew that there was no way. I always say there was my life before it and my life after it. Because the moment I felt the effects of testosterone, I was like, wow, I can do this for the rest of my life without any side effects if done correctly. And I feel this fucking good. I'm never coming off this stuff. So yeah, you can always come off and go back to your shitty production, or you can get on it. And if you ever wanted to come off, know that that's there, but get the benefits of testosterone for the rest of your life. So yes.
What if, hypothetically speaking, before you get on testosterone, you're like below average? You're not too bad. Like, say your total testosterone level is around 350, right, or something like that, 400, right? You get on therapy for a few years. If you get off it, can you go back to your baseline, or will the baseline be lower now?
Very good question. So, on average, males after the age of 30 lose anywhere from 0.5 to 2% of their testosterone yearly. The reason why it's 0.5 to 2, and it can even be more, but the average is 0.5 to 2%. If you smoke, if you party, if you have poor genetic dispositions, if you fry food all the time, if you're exposed to electronic, there's so many variables that calculate, but every year you lose. So if we always tell patients, hey, if you want to come off therapy, we don't have a freaking problem. Just let us know and do it correctly. Do a pulse cycle so you can wean off of it progressively and go back to the production you had. And could it be a little, sometimes it's higher than what it was before. Very few times does that happen, because as we age, whether you're on testosterone or not, that number is still going down. It's going down slowly. So if, for example, if before getting on treatment, you were at 350, and then after 3 years of therapy, you're at 300, hey man, that's natural. That's what happens as you start aging. It'll go down just a little bit.
The way I always saw it is like, okay, back in the good old days, back in the caveman days, right around when someone was 15, 20, 25, they lost half their teeth because there was no dentistry, there was no toothpaste, there's no right? We don't do that. To me, like, if you say, hey man, brushing your teeth, going to the dentist, that's not natural, man. That's not the way you were designed. You look at me and you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Dave?
Right.
Teeth if I can prevent that. And this is kind of the same, to me, it's like the same thing. Like, okay, but why would you want to suffer health effects, negative health effects, if you don't have to?
Right. It makes no sense, because that most people are misinformed. When I tell those people, get informed, call our clinic, call somebody that knows what the hell doing. Follow Jay Campbell, follow guys that know, that have been doing this for a long time, have been on therapy. Don't follow somebody that's not taking the therapy. I always explain, when a doctor's telling you something about testosterone, when he's never taken it, it's like telling me how to drive a car when you've never even driven a car. Why am I even going to take advice from you?
He's a virgin.
The what?
It's like a virgin pick up when he's fucked less than 5 girls in his life.
Trying to explain to a guy that's had sex 1,000 times, a virgin, how to do it. You get me? It just makes no sense. It just makes no sense.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look. What's next? Inviting. Okay. So you just said, there's someone that said, why take the risk? So we've kind of.
What risk?
First of all, there really is no risk.
Please mesmerize me, dazzle me. What risk are we talking about here? And Alex said it before. This is why we do blood work before. It's not like, you come to our clinic, you have the symptoms. Oh yeah, let's just give you testosterone. No, buddy, it doesn't work like that. We screen you. We look, if there's a prostate issue, we're going to have you see a urologist first and fix that issue before getting on treatment. If your heart function is 10% of what it should be, we're going to tell you, hey, you're a high-risk patient. No, we're not going to treat you. Like, we're very selective of who we bring in as well. That's a really good clinic.
I think also a lot of the risks are like completely either not true or over exaggerate. For example, a common one is if you do testosterone, you're going to be angry and you're going to fucking, that's
bullshit.
only do high doses of steroids. Like I can tell you that after I started TRT, I actually became a little bit, I was always a pretty chill person. I would say I became a little bit more calm. Like it went the other way. Like I was a little bit more chill, like a little bit less reactive to shit. So
that's because wait, Alex, you're totally on point. That's because testosterone actually helps you cope with stress better. So that's why you feel calmer, because you have more of these factors and substrates to be more chill. Now, this is what testosterone does. If you're an asshole, testosterone is going to do. It's going to enhance you being more of an asshole. If you're a nice guy, it's going to make you more of a nice guy. If you're a more emotional guy, it's going to make you more emotional. Whatever you are, it's going to enhance it. So that is totally preposterous. The only way it can give you that like angry road rage is if, again, you're taking super physiological doses that were never meant for human consumption. Yes, you're going to have a side effect. Go take a whole bottle of Advil and watch how fast you're going to end up in the hospital. Same thing here. Same exact thing.
100% agreed, man. All right, so let's go to the next question. How can I find this is a good question. How can I find a reputable clinic like Michael's? How can I tell?
How could you tell? Oof, great question. So if they have a cookie cutter approach, that's a big one. Meaning, oh no, come to us, pay $200. You're going to get blood work and you're going to get this treatment monthly. They have a cookie cutter. $200. I'm not going to say names, but for example, most clinics will do $200 a month for testosterone, HCG, and aromatase inhibitor, which, as we spoke, taking aromatase inhibitor is horrible if not needed. And only if the guy is stubborn and only wants to go that way, okay, fine. But otherwise, we don't use that stuff. We try to explain, hey, there's many ways that you're actually going to improve your health without it. So if they're prescribing an estrogen blocker right off the bat, if they have the fixed rates, pay $200 a month, get the basics, pay $400 or $500 a month, get one with peptides. That's what typically they're doing. One is with testosterone, HCG, and estrogen blocker, and the other one is a higher bracket, and it has one peptide. So cookie cutter approach. Doctors that are phantom doctors, or for example, there's a lot of clinics that ex-bodybuilders or guys that had some experience in the business as a coordinator get in and they open a clinic and they pay the doctor. So they had like a 95-year-old, a gynecologist or a pediatrics doctor that has no experience in hormones, and they're just muling him to prescribe this stuff because you need a doctor's license to prescribe this stuff.
Right.
And obviously the doctor's the one prescribing it, but most people are trying to use their licenses. And so that should be a red flag right away. If the doctor is like, if you question the doctor with certain questions and he doesn't have answers, then that's a big red flag. The other, if the doctor doesn't take the medications either, is a big red flag. Go to a doctor. It's simple. You want to look like a boxer? Start boxing. You want to get results? Go to a doctor that carries the results. Dr. Rudolph Eberwein, which is the medical director of Medical Health Institute, is a 54-year-old stud that is at 8% body fat. And you can go on our website and see his before and after. His before was at 42. His after was at 50. And the guy is a stud at 50 years old. Who do you think I want to follow? Do I want to follow the guy that looks fantastic and that's a doctor, or the guy that's smoking and falling apart, which, by the way, the average lifespan of mainstream medicine doctors, allopathic medicine, is between 58 to 64 years of age.
Oh, damn.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to be following a doctor that's dying on average, dropping dead at 58 to 64 years of age. I want to follow the guy that's living 100 years of age. That's the guy that I want to listen to. You get me? So let me recap. Cookie cutter approach. Prescribing anastrozole, which is the aromatase inhibitor, or Arimidex is the brand name, right off the bat, terrible. Doctor that's old and that doesn't know what he's doing. You can tell they're buying his license. Doctor that doesn't do therapy, and a team that doesn't seem to be excited about what they're doing. You call my clinic, whoever I put you with, you better bet you're going to have a good experience. Why? Because our entire team is on therapy. One rotten apple will rot the basket. If I have one person that doesn't have the enthusiasm or that likes to learn about this as much as I do and we do as a team, then you can't be part of the team. So you want a clinic like that. You can also call us if you wanted to, but wherever you are, these are the things that you want to look for.
Yeah, and I will say one thing is look at reviews. Like if you see someone who has
that's a
you guys have like 200 5-star reviews, like I feel pretty confident that you guys weren't going to fuck me over if you have so many good reviews. Like if you see someone who has no reviews, that's a little bit of a red flag.
No, it's funny because now I'm the #1 5-star rated clinic in Dade and Broward County, so I feel I'm super proud of that. And I'm talking about, go read our reviews. These are like testimonials. On our website, you'll see the before and after. You'll see videos. That's what I'm trying to gain now. Videos is the best way. It's organic. They're doing it from home. We're not editing it. You're getting what you see. So yeah, reviews is a really big thing, because tell me what you don't do today that if I'm going to go to a heart surgeon, you don't think I want to see the reviews on this guy? And I want to read what he's doing. I want to make sure I know who I'm speaking to and that he has some type of credential. And today, guess what? Having an online presence, especially if you're a doctor, you need to know, it's common sense that you need an online presence. So having the review thing kind of gives you a gauge to see if he's a good or bad doctor. So yes, definitely having good reviews and high rated reviews is extremely important.
Definitely. Let's see what else we have. Does taking testosterone worsen erections and libido? No.
That's opposite. It's opposite. I don't know what you're reading. Why would you ever ask that question after everything we spoke about? But definitely not that.
What about those testosterone from Roman? I'm not really sure what this person's asking.
Testosterone from Roman. I think that's a brand of testosterone, European, if I'm not wrong. I don't know what he means, or Nebido, which is like an injection that you have every 3 months. That's garbage. Oh yeah, let's just touch on it. If you guys are already looking at this stuff, there's only 2 ways that you want to get testosterone in your body. Okay, there's pellets, troches, creams, gels, injections. Let me tell you, we tried them all. I've seen them all. I've spoken to doctor about the behind the scenes to see what works, and from experience, the best thing is injectable, the oldest form in the book, because you can control the half-life. If you understand the half-life of each medication, you're mimicking the natural circadian rhythm of the body. And a good doctor, that was another red flag. If he doesn't understand the half-life of each medication, how to prescribe it, telling you when to take it. So when you understand this stuff, what's it called? You're going to get the results you're looking for. And it's injectable. That's the best way. We've shown it. Every patient has had good results with it. Second option would be, if you decide, because, I don't want to have an injection, which most people think of what? They think of an injection that big. We're talking about a little insulin syringe. You don't even feel it. You don't have to inject with an old school 25 gauge harpoon. I would never do testosterone if I have to inject with that. I inject with an insulin syringe, my testosterone. So if you're still scared of doing it, then that's fine. We respect that. Second choice, which is the closest, but it's never going to get to the testosterone injectable. It's a lipoderm base cream. Listen to me again. Lipoderm base cream, not a gel, not a regular cream. It must be a lipoderm base, and it must be applied in the perineum area, which is between your testicles and your anus, because that area has clinically shown to be 8 times more permeable, more absorbable than any other part of your body. You can even put it on your scrotum and that perineum area. So that's the second option. I just wanted people to know that.
I've never tried this. I don't know if you've ever tried it. If you take a tiny amount of the testosterone cream and you put it on a girl's clit, like obviously, with her being on board, it's supposedly a lot better. Do you have any experience with this?
I heard that, but today we have PT141. So PD5 inhibitors like Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra are PD5 inhibitors. They help vasodilation, so you get better blood flow. Women can take a little bit of Viagra, make some microcirculate more blood. So guess what gets more plunged up and more engorged? Their clitoris. So they're more sensitive. So we have a protocol that women use, PT141, which is a peptide that stimulates the central nervous system to create such an arousal state that you get a massive erection. And it's not caused by the vasodilation, none of that. It's caused through the central nervous system. And it feels it's the best recreational peptide drug in the world. So there's a protocol that it's PT141 with 15 to 25 milligrams of Viagra for women, and that's explosive for them. But if I told you anything by itself, PT141. It can either done nasal sprays, troches, or injections. That stuff, we call it the rekindle peptide, because we've seen so many relationships. Because remember, I deal with guys that are 40, 50, all the way to 90 years of age. I've seen relationships totally rekindled because they use these medications together, because it's for both sexes. For women, it makes them more aroused, so it makes them lubricate more, and they're able to reach explosive orgasms. That's another whole conversation. Huh?
What's the name of that again?
PT, Paul Tim, PT hyphen 141. Look it up.
What?
PT. They've actually FDA approved it. I forgot the brand name, but they FDA approved it for women, where women can actually get this prescribed through their mainstream doctor as a brand name. But it's PT 141.
I'm gonna look into that. All right. So what else?
Just a little touch.
Yeah.
Guys who come to us that are injecting Trimix. Trimix is the last resource. Trimix is the last thing you want to end up doing, because you got to be injecting your penis to get an erection. So guys that come to us like that, we use PT141 with a little bit of Viagra, and we end up getting rid of that. We've never seen a clinic being able to pull that off. Usually they can't fix it, and they keep injecting their penis and creating scar tissue, which is terrible for you. And what men will do and how far we'll go to, remember what I talked about, staying quiet and not speaking it out? That's what happens. You end up injecting your penis with this stuff, and then you completely damage all the nerve endings where you don't respond to anything but that. And the only thing we've seen it fix that, not in every case, but in most cases, PT141.
Yeah, the only thing I'm injecting my penis with is pussy.
Exactly.
Michael mentioned stimulating natural test production while on hormone optimization therapy. Is this to the extent that you could stop after many years? Okay, so we actually answered that question. Yeah. Someone says, "What about sleep?" So I think we can both agree sleep is huge, very important.
Sleep, you got nothing. I'll tell you a really quick experience for me. Business, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, there's ups and downs. I'm sure you've experienced that. I had a really rough time, something personal that happened that led me into a point that I was so stressed and so in survival state like mode that I can tell you, if I slept more than an hour a day, I would be lying to you. Like, I honestly did not sleep more than an hour a day, and my wife was freaking out. She was like, "What's awesome. You're gonna drop dead?" And I was on testosterone, microdoses of Cialis, name it. I'm completely optimized, getting bi-weekly personalized infusions of vitamins into my blood rather than taking them orally. I'm completely optimized, and I'm falling apart. Yeah. So sleep, that's how much it has to do.
I could be on modafinil, I could be on like kratom, all that shit. But if I slept 4 hours the night before, I'm going to be not nearly as functional as if I slept 8 hours and I'm sober. Like, it's not close. Sleep is super crucial. If you're intermittent fasting, can you still drink water? Yes. If so, what if you squeeze lemon juice to your water, or does a shot of apple cider vinegar, does that count against your fasting time? No, I don't think so.
And you can break the fast if you put too much lemon or lime. You can break the fast because it's not that it increases your glucose. It can increase slightly your insulin. The moment your insulin increases, it cuts you out of intermittent fasting state, and it freezes the autophagy effect.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
So wait, you can add coffee, black, no sugar, no creamer, no, just black coffee. Don't ask any more questions. Black coffee, because they always ask. Black coffee. That's it.
Okay.
And water. Oh, well, when you're doing 14, when you work out a lot and you sweat a lot, you might want to put a teaspoon of Redmont salt or Himalayan salt, because it's highly mineralized. Because when you fast for that long and you only drink water, there's very few minerals inside that water, so you're demineralizing the system because you're auto-consuming your state, autophagy. You're consuming everything, so you want to put some minerals in there.
I think it's not can you still drink water? It's like you should fucking drink water.
Yes, absolutely.
I've noticed, like, if I'm dehydrated, my brain function goes down. My ability to lift weights definitely goes down. And then I'll just hydrate, and then like 5 minutes later, I feel like night and day difference. So
Yep.
that stuff is also, water is great. Like, it's highly underrated how important it is for.
It's oxygen, then water, and then food.
Yeah.
You can go a lot longer without food than you can go without oxygen and water. It's simple. You definitely need water.
What peptides are best for bodybuilding other than 5? He says 5-alpha, but he was thinking 5-amino, which you said isn't available. So what peptides are best for bodybuilding?
So I never endorse nor support bodybuilding because it's terrible. You develop a psychological, affectuous. You start falling in love. That's how most men bodybuilders become gay, because it's all about your muscles and the way you look. And you're so
for gaining muscle.
For gaining muscle, I would say testosterone. It's number one. Growth hormone would be at the top of everything, but we don't ever recommend growth hormone because it's not good for you. And again, don't quote me on this because we don't endorse this stuff. So I don't really like answering to the word bodybuilding. So I'm going to answer more for optimal performance and optimal longevity. That's the biggest thing we promote: performance and longevity. So for muscle building, it could be, that's another conversation, because you have growth hormone releasing hormones like CJC, 1295, Simorelin, and Testosterone. Then you have a growth hormone releasing peptides like ipamorelin, MK677, GHRP2, and GHRP6. So there's a distinct difference. One helps fabricate it, the other one helps stimulate into the blood. So taking a blend of both can do a big effect. Typically doing the newest protocol that most men to achieve, for men that have sarcopenia, loss of muscle cells, and as they age, they start to deteriorate, to recover it, testosterone at night, which is a growth hormone releasing hormone. You do it at night, and then you want to do a peptide in the morning, typically and preferably ipamorelin. Yeah. Again, this is personal experience. I'm not saying that this is what you should do. This is what we're seeing.
Makes sense. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Where's the best place to go get a blood test, since a general medical doctor is not always good in the men's health field? So my personal thing would be, you can just order it online. You can order labs online, but in general, probably, because if you want to, because if you do a lot of labs that can get offensive, I would say just go to a functional medicine doctor and have them the script. Yeah.
So here's the deal. We support. If you get your blood work online today, you can get almost things online. Great. If you can, for example, we say, look, our blood work is 325. If you can get it anything under 325, go. And in fact, if you get it for like $200 or less, let me know, because we might be interested in doing that ourselves for our clients.
Right.
So there's like 3,000 biomarkers you can test for. Every doctor you go to is going to test for something different.
That's true.
Our doctor, so our blood work, if we really wanted to make it as extensive as we wanted to, the blood work costs you $7,000. But if we maximize it to what we're trying to help the individual, whenever we see a blood work that's missing any of our panels, it tells us two things right off the bat. A, the doctor is not experienced enough, so that's why he's not testing for the other things and doesn't understand that they're all interrelated and connect to each other. Or B, he doesn't want to open a can of worms. What do I mean by that? Whatever the doctor tests for, if he didn't advise you or tell you, hey, do you know that having high homocysteine levels can cause a stroke or heart disease, and then you end up suffering one, and he didn't document that, and everything wasn't in place correctly, they can come after your ass. So, or A, there's lack of experience, or B, they don't want to take responsibility. So if I was you, I would go to an experienced clinic like ours, or anybody. Just start following Jay Campbell. That's one of the guys that I always preach. That's paved the way for a lot of us in the business. Go to a doctor that has a lot of experience, because again, if you're having, how I said it from the beginning, I treat my body like a Ferrari, and if my engine light goes on, I'm gonna go to the best mechanic, and I'm gonna make sure that my car gets a tune-up that it needs to when it needs to. Not go to the mechanic, my engine light is on, and I'm gonna only have you check my air filter, and based on my air filter, I'm gonna tell you if you're good or bad. You get me? So very important that you go to the right physician and you get the right panels to get a comprehensive analysis of what's really going on inside your blood.
Well, I don't want to open up a whole Pandora's box, but off the top of your head, what are the tests that you feel like, let's say top 10 tests a man should get?
They can write them all down right now. I'll tell you right now. I actually have them right in front of me. I can tell you exactly. Well, I'll tell you right off the bat. Total testosterone, free testosterone, a prostate specific antigen, which is
Okay.
PSA. You want to look at that because if there's a prostate issue already going on, taking testosterone could mildly exacerbate it if not treated correctly. So that's why if there's an issue, we have you go see a urologist first. Sometimes it's an infection. Sometimes you hit your testicles against something and the PSA really went high and it goes back to normal. You get me? It's not always a bad reason. Total testosterone, free testosterone, PSA, C-reactive protein, pregnenolone levels, DHEA levels, DHT levels, LH levels, FSH levels, estradiol sensitive, not estradiol by itself, estradiol sensitive, CBC, CMP, lipid panels, uric acid, vitamin D as in dog, magnesium, RBC,
Yeah.
and what else? B12. You ask me. I can't just tell you, hey, just check your testosterone. Well, if you just wanted to see a cookie cutter, really quick snapshot of what was going on, test total testosterone, free testosterone, sex hormone binding globulin, PSA, and estrogen.
I would also say what I would add to the list would be thyroid panel. I think
Sorry,
thyroid
I forgot TSH, free T3, free T4, thyroid peroxide, thyroid antibodies.
So
Yes, of course, the thyroid has so much to do with it.
nowadays. It's so common. And then the other thing I would add is if you can afford to do a detailed vitamin panel. You can be deficient in some shit you've never even heard of before.
The only company I like to recommend is SpectraCell, which is they do the most expensive.
SpectraCell, 100%.
Right. They do and their test is done. They take out the blood, but then they look at an intracellular level, what's actually deficient inside the cell. And it's not like you were deficient. You didn't eat something yesterday and you came out deficient today. No, on average, it's about a 4 to 6 month deficiency you've had. So you can really work with.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, the one we forgot is IGF.
With the micronutrient test, and it will personalize the infusions for the patient, and we send them to their home. Because of COVID, we're doing everything mobile. We do the whole analysis, and we send a personalized infusion to your home. So if you can get them even personalized, even better. Oh, that's a little touch that I did not touch. If you're super scared of testosterone, that's fine. We have a couple guys that are on top of their game, but they're MMA fighters or they're pro athletes, so they cannot do hormones, and we don't endorse them because they get tested. So we recommend for them to optimize their micronutrient pathways because micronutrients are the biochemical wheel of life. Without micronutrients, you would be dead. See it like this. Macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbs. That's a gas of the system. Right. Micronutrients, you need small amounts. They're the oil of the system. Vitamins, minerals, metabolites, antioxidants, fatty acids. Without those, you can have jet fuel in your jet, but if you don't have the right oil or oil at all, it ain't gonna run.
Yeah.
So
I repeat the micronutrient panel once every 2 years. I think it's huge.
Yeah, once a year if you can.
Micronutrients to be on point.
Yep, I agree. Micronutrients. So don't forget that one.
So someone said you sound like Tony Robbins. That's a compliment if I ever heard one. Tony Robbins.
I got that before. I appreciate that, buddy.
Is there any solution for hair whitening?
For hair whitening, you know what? Copper. They said that copper. You can't see, but I'm filled with hair from so much oxidation in my past. They say using copper. I personally tried a bunch of stuff. No, man. That I have found no, and you do, let me know. Reach out to me, Michael at medicalhealthinstitute.com. Let me know what you found because I want to look into it and start offering it. But so far, I haven't found anything that can turn the hair back to black.
All right. So next question. What are the best foods to eat for testosterone or performance in general? That basically is asking what kind of diet you recommend for health.
There's so much contradicting information. Like I can totally build an argument why to go vegetarian. I can totally build an argument why to go on a keto state. I can totally build an argument why to go on a only meat diet. You get me? Yeah. So this is personally, the healthier you get and you start to become in tune with your body, that's what I say to people. Get in tune with your body. Get in tune with what doesn't work for you because one man's meat might be another's poison. That's why the ALCAT test exists as well, which tests for food sensitivities. There's certain foods that might not be good. So, for example, being a vegetarian might be fantastic, but if I don't process lectins or certain nutrients properly because my body is recognizing them as an antigen, like a foreign substance, and is creating inflammation in my body, and you feel bloated and you're farting all the time, then being a vegan for you or vegetarian is not good for you, buddy, because your system doesn't genetically respond well to it. So I would recommend like a 23andMe test, have a professional read it, because what do you do with all that data if you don't know how to read it or spit out a formula of what you should follow? So it's all determined. It's going to determine on your age, how much hydrochloric acid your stomach produces, what's your blood type. There's so many things that can play into it. So I can't really tell you which ones.
Yeah, personally, I've been doing a variation of paleo for about 7 years. I tried the carnivore diet for 4 months. It was interesting, but for me, it didn't work as well as just doing paleo diet. So that's what's worked best for me.
Bingo. I look, winter times when we can't really hunt, we had some freeze dried with ice, nature meats where we were completely carnivorous for a certain time. And springs, there are certain times that we get certain,
that makes sense, actually.
There's seasons. There's seasons for everything. So we can be carnivores as much as we can be omnivores. So it's a little bit of everything, the way I see it. So 1 week I'll try to eat turkey. 1 week I'll try to eat fish. 1 week I'll try to eat, chicken.
Yeah,
1 week,
for sure.
1 week I'll go vegan. I don't want to eat meat. My body says, you know what? I shouldn't eat meat. I eat meat 2 days in a row. I'm going to go 3 days without eating meat. You got me? It's getting into
what your body wants and needs, for sure.
Bingo.
Definitely agree with that. Let's see what else we got. Can peptides like kisspeptin or testosterone work to keep sperm mobility while on TRT?
So, kisspeptin is something that personally, hold on, I'm running out of battery. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. So kisspeptin is something that compounding pharmacies left up in the air.
Hey, bro, we're getting some crackling in the background.
Crackling.
Yeah, it kind of. Try to say something.
Hello.
Yeah, now that there's feedback going on. You have on. There's something no, it's still. Have you turned it
off? You mean?
I don't know, man. It's cutting in and out.
Let me try something.
Yeah. We sound like one of us sounds like Darth Vader.
Okay. Hold on.
It's in slow motion. What was? I ran through.
Let me here. Let me just. What about now?
Now I can't hear anything. Oh damn! Fucking YouTube Live. It's in like slow motion. So it's like how about.
I don't know what's going on here. Let me refresh. Could I refresh?
I don't know, man.
No.
I can't hear shit. Oh, Michael cut off. Well, we're pretty much almost done with the questions. Let me see if I can add him back. Okay.
What about now?
Yeah, a million times better. We're back.
All right, wonderful. Sorry, man. I was running out of battery on my AirPods.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, we're pretty much wrapping up anyway. But yeah, let's just go through the last few questions and then we'll wrap up.
Wow, we've been on for how long?
We've been on for an hour. I'm like 45 minutes late to my date. So
I completely forgot. I'm like, what? 10:46. Wait,
yeah, it's just a really good discussion. I think we
okay, you know what? Hey, Alex, thank you for that, man. You know what? I want to be thankful for that because it shows me, wow, you see, when you like something, two hours passed by. I felt like that was 20 minutes for me.
Yeah, dude.
So I love this stuff. You know, I really do love this stuff. And you're,
I can tell how passionate you are about it. You're like so fucking ramped up. I think someone wrote, "Is he on drugs?" I'm like, no, he's just very fucking excited.
Hey, don't worry. I get that all the time. I'm on drugs or something. Let's just say my personality has been a little on the upside. I'm just euphoric about life.
Have you ever tried? I'm asking you a random question. Have you ever tried kratom? Kratom. It's like a plant.
No, but like what? Hallucination? A plant?
No. No, it's.
I tried personally.
For energy, for creativity, for just for me, it's an all around. Like it doesn't get you like fucked up or anything. It's just like you feel better, you have more energy, everything's more on point. Like usually when I start crashing in the evening, take some kratom, I'm on point. So I was just curious.
Yeah, modafinil is something that they recommend a lot, which is like an internal medication, which it works to like focus.
I did 2 years of modafinil. The only thing I didn't like about it is it fucked with my sleep.
Yeah, for me, I really didn't feel anything. But for example, I was just injecting FGL, which it increases mushroom dendritic synaptic connection firing in your brain so you can consolidate memory better. You have CMAX or C-Lank. CMAX is more for cognition and performance. C-Lank is more mild than that performance, but it's an anxiolytic. It helps you bring anxiety down. Some people like are very anxious. I'm a very anxious person, so C-Lank calms you down so you can focus better. You have dihexa, cerebrallicin. There's a bunch of psychotropic peptides that you can take. My favorite, FGL, like FGL, C-Lank and C-Max. Freaking puts your brain, they're natural peptides, man, and they really help to focus. Really help.
All right, so next question. Guys, I have a question. What is something to get rid of your hair insecurities? So the way I would break this down is your hair at a point where you can't actually fix it, or are you still catching it early and you can still fix it? Because if you're catching it early, I would just take massive action to prevent yourself from losing hair. Like I don't know if who here is familiar with what I looked like when I was 25. Around 25, I started losing some hair. And I remember one time, me and my buddy were walking around, and he took a picture of me walking his dog, and he showed me the picture, and there was like basically a bald spot in the back. I literally almost had like a fucking panic attack when I saw that picture. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to fucking lose my hair. My dad's bald. My mom's dad is bald. I just come from a long line of bald Russian men. I was like determined not to lose my hair. So I did, fucking got my nutrients on point. I did, what's it called? Rogaine. I did derma rolling, which is scientifically called.
Oh my God.
I did a series of PRP injections, and now I have, pretty good head of hair. So yeah, take massive action. But if you're at a point where it's too late, like you've already lost all your hair, you're bald, it's not going to come back. Just embrace it. Let
me add what I recommend, because I know what that feels like when you're kind of losing your hair. Like fuck, I rather or let me lose all my hair or let me keep my hair, but don't keep this in between. So as you said, you got to know how far you're into it. If you're almost at the point that you can't recover it, hey man, straight up, go get laser hair removal and laser your head and look like The Rock. The Rock, I don't know if he has, but I can tell you by looking at his head, he's done laser hair removal on his head because he never has hair and you don't see any hair growth. So if you're completely bald here and you only have like hair around here, get laser, get the whole hair off. Or depending on how much you get, you can get a hair graft. Today they can grab hair from your beard and pass it over and make a whole thing. So it just depends where you are. But as he said, if you're pretty much bald, embrace it. And if it bothers you to see having to shave because you're seeing the growth here and that here, then get laser. You never have to worry about touching hair again. Yeah,
you got guys like The Rock, Jason Statham, paving the way. There's a lot of very successful bald guys.
Rock, fucking dude, that guy is, you can't get more of a stud than that guy. Straight up.
How much approximately does TRT cost? It's really cheap.
Today, look, man. We are that I found in regards to testosterone. If you calculate it per month, out of all the clinics that I found, they're usually between $200 to $500 a month for testosterone, HCG, and aromatase inhibitor. Again, eat it. If you throw all of that with syringes, you're looking for $200. We're the only ones that I know. We can be $85 if it's testosterone by itself, all the way to $160 if you maintain only testosterone, HCG, and aromatase inhibitor. If you take the aromatase inhibitor, it's more like $140 to $100. Why the difference? It's all dependent on dose as well. how long the treatment is going to last you.
HCG is more expensive than testosterone itself, right?
Right now, HCG is ridiculously expensive because March 23rd they made it into a biologics. What that means, they made it into like only brand name can be used, so it's way too expensive, and they have a short minimum supply. They're just running out, so they're boosting the price. HCG is done, it's basically out of the market.
Nah, that's a shame. That's a real shame.
The only pharmacy that's legally still prescribing it is Empower Pharmacy. If you were interested. Empower Pharmacy is like one of the biggest compounding pharmacies. They found like a loophole where they're going to litigation with the DA, but legally, as long as they don't come to an end, they can continuously produce HCG. They're the only clinic compound pharmacy. Sorry,
it's crazy. Anyway, I could go on a whole rant about how regulations are fucking over medicine left and right. But,
hey, wait! I wish I can send you a link. I think you've seen it, the one that I sent about signing for the peptides and hormone, the petition. I would love whoever is an advocate about this or whoever would want to support it to sign it, because mainstream medicine is starting to see.
I'll post it in the link. I'll send it to me. I'll post it in the bio. Let's get everyone to sign it. You don't have to do it right now. We can edit the bio later. Yeah, but yeah, right. It's fucking ridiculous. Like all driven by profit. Like it's fucking no shame. No shame.
They're trying. I'll tell you like this. The COVID war, what's going on? They've been trying to shut down hormone optimization, this type of industry for I'm talking about 25 years or more. But in the last year, they've gotten really aggressive because new tailor-made pharmacy, I don't know if you saw what happened online with them, using peptides on their Kentucky Derby horses. They basically screwed up in a way a compounding pharmacy that when compounding pharmacies do these type of things, which it happened in 2012 called New England Compounding Center, they developed a medication that it seriously illed over 700 people and killed over 58. So since it was a compounding pharmacy, the lobbyists and the pharmaceuticals, hey, this is a reason why to shut them down. So now they gave them another reason to do so. And you're talking about trillions of dollars against billions of dollars, just put it that way. So they're really trying to shut us down. I highly doubt that's going to happen because the results speak so much louder than words could say. But they're really trying to shut us down.
Same thing with stem cells. Stem cells have saved so many people's lives, took people who had chronic injuries, couldn't walk, they're fighting stem cells like tooth and nail. Like it's the same shit. It's not like people might say, oh, conspiracy theory. I don't really believe in conspiracy theories. This is just pure greed. Like pure greed. That's what it comes down to. Like if someone's in a wheelchair and they're on 10 different medications and you give them stem cells over time, it's not going to happen magically. And with physical therapy, they regain their ability to walk, and then they don't need the medications anymore. You just lost yourself a paying customer. So I think actually Chris Rock said it best. I think it was either Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle. He's like, there's no money in healthy people. There's no money in dead people. The money is somewhere in the middle.
I like it. Wait, repeat that again. Repeat that.
There's no money in healthy people. There's no money in dead people. The money lies somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So
there is money to be made.
I've been on self-prescribed TRT for the past year. What would be the process of moving to your clinic to do it legally? All right, that's a good question.
Man, listen to me. Well, thank you for even considering us first and foremost on that. Just go to medicalhealthinstitute.com and then inquire there. And you're either going to work with Janik, Mo, or Daniel. Those are my team players, coordinators, wellness specialists, which, as I said from the beginning, everybody's on therapy. So if you wanted to, go to our website, medicalhealthinstitute.com. Inquire, say you were on Alex's podcast, an interview on YouTube. One isn't at YouTube, sorry. Just on Alex's podcast, and I'll make sure to take care of you, especially if you come through his channel.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Much appreciated. All right, so is maca, D3, zinc, and other inexpensive over-the-counter supplements good to take, and do they work? So that's a good question.
They do. They all do. But again, how much are you spiking your levels? It's very little. They all have their medicinal benefit, and zinc has so many. Zinc, the protocol for COVID is anywhere from 4,000 to 12,000 milligrams of vitamin C taken daily to completely prevent it. And if you got it, for it to pass through you like if it was a regular flu,
Yeah.
30 to 100 milligrams of zinc daily, and 5,000 to 10,000 units of vitamin D daily. So they work for many other things. If you're talking about for testosterone and you have very low levels, you're only dropping a food dye drop into an Olympic-sized pool trying to change the color. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's a good question. I think this is a good question to end it off at. Yeah, exactly. They work, but they work mainly for different things. Like, a lot of people are vitamin D. Dr. Rhonda Patrick talks about this all the time. A lot of people are vitamin D deficient that can have a whole host of issues. It's actually a hormone. Not a lot of people know that, but it's not really like, it's not like you're going to go from, having 500 testosterone, having 1,000 because of a supplement. Like, there's no supplement to do that. It's also a, let's just say, a sales pitch. All right, so I think we got a lot of shit. I mean, we can just keep going and going, but I think we really answered a lot of questions. Michael, if people want to learn more about what you do or find your clinic, how can they go about that?
Wonderful, man. I'll be happy to help your crowd. They can go to medicalhealthinstitute.com.
We'll link everything in the description as well.
Medicalhealthinstitute.com. Look, my best recommendation, read our reviews. Like, really look at our stuff so you can see that it's real results from real people, not airbrush pictures. These are real people with real results.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming on, bro. I really appreciate it. I think we had a really good interview. We got it's a little bit of a different direction I normally go on this channel, but I think it's an important direction because, again, as I mentioned previously, it's a strong, like, I'm fucking flaking on my date right now to do this interview because I think that this is really important. And this is
man. And I love, thank you for exposing me to be able to talk to so many people at the same time, because again, this is the worst thing that could happen to a man, and these things need to be talked about. That whole thing, man up, or that's just, if you're having an issue, you got to talk about it. You got to address it, because if you don't, it's going to get worse. And I know what it is when it gets real bad. When it goes on for like 6-7 years where you don't even dare to go out unless you have a pill in your pocket. That type of works.
Yeah, I personally have friends like that. It's fucking terrible.
It's terrible. You're dependent. If I don't have my pill, I'm not even going to try to go there. Yeah. What? That's not life.
Yeah, for sure not. All right, awesome, bro. Again, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. And we'll chat soon. You'll have to come on again.
I would love to come back if we ever want to talk about another thing about health and how this really is interconnected, and bring my brother on here. And
we got to have your brother on some point. He has a crazy story. But like, that's a whole Pandora's box.
Yeah, but listen to me. I'll be even happy to talk to the doctor and even have him talk on here.
Yeah.
They can talk to the doctor. I'm not the doctor. Let's talk to my doctor. How about that?
That's good. It's a good idea. But we'll definitely have to do that at some point. All right, awesome, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to post all the links in the description below once we edit the video. And have a good night, everyone. Stay healthy. Keep your boners strong. All right, man. Take care.
You got it, buddy.